Chapter 186. The sunlight pierced through the clouds and the mist, landing on the man's body. He wore a clean white cotton shirt paired with black trousers. The top two buttons of his shirt were unbuttoned, revealing a clean, protruding Adam's apple. He pushed his glasses up with his fingers. The skin of his wrist was so fair that it was almost transparent. The light blue veins were faintly discernible. He was thin but not frail. A pair of silver-rimmed glasses rested on his high nose bridge. He exuded a gentle and proper aura. The bodyguard opened the black wrought-iron gate for him. The man walked slowly into the manor. Xianxia took a few steps forward and stopped, hesitating. It was her second brother, Xianxia. His hand, was it all right? The man had long legs and big strides. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Xianxia, but his gaze went past Xianxia and landed on Wang Xunli. Are you the person in charge of Little Rabbit Farm? Yes, it's me. You're from the Research Institute. Xianxia nodded, his posture elegant and clear, like a gentle young master from an ancient scholarly family. Xianxia's face turned pale, and she gripped the corner of her clothes tightly. Her brother treated her like air. It turned out that what was worse than indifference was disregard. Wang Xunli said politely, I'm a bore. I don't know how to say nice things. Thank you for your hard work. Have you had breakfast? Our Miss Yi's cooking is superb. Uncle Wang, take him to Little Rabbit Farm to eat. Xianxia interrupted Uncle Wang and glanced at Xiangli's right hand. Upon closer inspection, she saw that it was wrapped in a light-colored wrist guard. She bit her lower lip subconsciously, not daring to meet Xiangli's eyes at all. She was afraid that she would see blame in her second brother's eyes. She was even more afraid that her second brother would treat her like a stranger. As for breakfast, considering her third and fourth brother's attitudes, her second brother must hate her to the core. How could he eat it? He would probably be annoyed if he even spoke to her. For the first time, Xianxia ran away. She ran away. Missy? Wang Xunli scratched his head, puzzled. What's wrong with Missy? She had never made a mistake when it came to etiquette, but her behavior today was very unusual. However, Xianxia suddenly narrowed his slender eyes as a glimmer of a black-bellied light flashed past his eyes. He had only experimented for a while, and the answer had already surfaced. As expected, it wasn't that or anymore. Xianxia stayed in the room until 5 minutes before the start of the live broadcast. Hearing the noise, Shui turned her head and fixed her gaze on the little girl. Although she was wearing light makeup, he could tell that Xianxia was trying to hide something. It was a morning that could not be concealed. You don't have a fever today, do you? Shui asked. Xianxia answered absent-mindedly. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of Li Jinyu and Xianxia chatting about something and dancing with joy. Her eyes widened. Sister E, come, let me introduce you to a big shot. Li Jinyu waved at her. He helped us a lot. Xianxia's expression stiffened, as she did not dare to approach at all. Suddenly, Shui's gentle voice sounded in her ear. Together? Xianxia thanked him softly and gratefully. Thank you. Shui ruffled her hair. Not far away, Xiangli's eyes suddenly flashed under his silver-rimmed glasses. Li Jinyu was as happy as a fool. This is Dr. Xiang, a big scientific researcher who came to Little Rabbit Farm for a business trip. He heard about the attack on our live broadcast and helped us write a security wall program. Scientists these days are really too helpful. All right, both of you have the same surname. It's really fate. Your ancestors might be from the same family. Chapter 187. Xiangli's cherry lips parted. She didn't reply. Xianxia looked at her with a half-smile and reached out his clean and slender hand. Hello. For a moment, Xianxia thought that her brother had forgiven her. But how is that possible? Second brother's hand was crippled. Xianxia couldn't help but feel angry when she recalled the information she had received from the investigation. A year ago, the person who possessed her body invited second brother to go rock climbing. She wasn't a professional at all, but she refused to wear any protective gear and insisted on climbing on her own. As a result, she almost fell off the rock wall. It was second brother who saved her. However, in order to save her, he cut his right wrist. The wound went deep into his bone and pressed on his nerves. Although it didn't affect his normal life, he could no longer perform those extremely sophisticated experiments. After the incident, Xianxia even tried to shirk responsibility and lied that Xianxia had accidentally injured himself and had nothing to do with her. She had completely broken second brother's heart. The Xiang family didn't believe her one-sided story. They went to check the surveillance footage and found out the truth. They gave her one last chance to confess, but she still lied. After this incident, everyone in the Xiang family was utterly disappointed in her. That was why they didn't care about her after she entered the entertainment industry. Xianxia subconsciously rubbed her hand on her skirt before shaking Xiangli's hand. Her voice trembled as she said, "Hello." Xiangli let go of her hand after shaking it for a moment. He restrained himself and didn't seem to have any problems. However, he frowned slightly. "Why is my sister's hand so cold?" Because of his frown, Xiangli felt like her heart had been pricked by a needle. She lowered her eyes, her long eyelashes casting a faint shadow on her milky white face. "So, he still hates me." Li Jinyu was still blabbering heartlessly. Dr. Xiang even agreed to be our guest this episode to spread the knowledge of scientific farming. He suddenly felt that his variety show had become much more sophisticated. Xiangli felt a little happy. If her brother was going to be a guest, didn't that mean she would be able to see him all day? But she soon realized that perhaps her brother didn't want to see her. 2 minutes later, teachers, get ready. The live stream is about to begin. The staff members began to move. Xiangli forced herself to look at the camera. As usual, today's live broadcast began with breakfast on the dining table. Steamed buns, soy milk, bean dregs cakes, tea eggs. Simple home-cooked dishes were cooked with Xiangli's skillful hands, making them incomparably appetizing. She made 2 kinds of stuffed buns. The meat buns were made from 3 fat and 7 lean pork. She used a processing machine to make minced meat and added scallions, ginger, fennel, and other things to enhance the flavor. The vegetarian buns were made from mushroom and winter bamboo shoots. She added a few drops of sesame oil, and it tasted particularly delicious. Even the folds were pinched like a piece of art. They were delicate and white, obediently nestled in the steamer, waiting to be pampered. Soy milk was made by mixing soybeans, rice, peanuts, red dates, and other ingredients. Then it was ground out bit by bit using the graphite in the small kitchen before being heated. The remaining bean dregs were mixed with a little flour and eggs to make a bean dregs cake. It was crisp and crispy. The tea eggs were stewed overnight, and even the egg yolk had become tasty. Paired with a dish of boiled vegetables and a few small plates of pickled vegetables, it was nutritious and heartwarming. Through the live stream camera, it was transmitted to every viewer's screen. "Aw, I'm hit by the delicious food again. I'm crying. I've already had breakfast. I'm hungry again. Clever and defty, the most beautiful master chef. I support 2 under 1 roof. I support sure sway. I support sister E." With the support of public opinion last night, the atmosphere in the live stream was harmonious and beautiful. Chapter 188. When Xiangli entered the scene, Li Jinyu acted as the narrator and gave him a simple self-introduction. The live comments. A 26-year-old PhD student? What kind of divine top student brother is this? Woo, he has such a clean temperament. He has a gentle and scholarly aura and that little red mole. He's so perfect for my taste. He's not a doctor, he's a sniper. Which Xiang is he? Xiang? 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 Ha, if it's Xiangli, he might be Sister Yi's brother. I'm dying of laughter. Is everyone with the surname Xiang her brother? What are you dreaming about in broad daylight? It's none of your business. How much did Muyao TV pay you? Why do you have to be a dog instead of a human? As long as there were 1 or 2 haters, they would soon be rebuked. Muyao TV was now everyone's public enemy. Of course, they had to defend Xiangli. At the dining table, Xiangli held her breath nervously, afraid that her brother wouldn't touch the food she cooked. To her surprise, her brother ate it. His expression was natural, and he didn't show any disdain. He even praised her by saying, "It tastes good." Xiangli thought that her brother might have said that out of social etiquette. Facing the person who ruined his hand, he was still so gentle. Her brother was really great. Little did she know that Xiangli really just felt that his sister's culinary skills were too good. It's been a long time since I last tasted this delicious. He slowly peeled a tea egg and handed it to Xiangli. Here for you. Huh. Xiangli raised her starry eyes, full of disbelief. Seeing that she didn't take it, Xiangli placed it on a small plate in front of her. He then peeled another one and gave it to Shui. Shui, thank you. Xiangli smiled slightly. You're welcome. The pop-up comments instantly exploded. Is there anyone who supports the doctor and sister? Don't the doctor and best actor pair make sense? Big Bro Swordsman is so gentle QAQ, I can't resist such a gentleman. Xiangyi's eyes were filled with surprise. She carefully ate the tea egg, thinking that it was really delicious when peeled by her brother. Even though she knew that her brother was very good at taking care of people, the little girl couldn't help but smile. At this moment, someone suddenly commented in the live stream, F***CK. Did any of you see the new news about Xiangyi on Weibo? I'm shocked. Her persona has completely collapsed. At first, there were people who mocked. Another water army? I won't see you off. But soon, more and more people posted similar comments, arousing the curiosity of many people. Hence, they opened Weibo. The so-called melon was a long Weibo post posted by a blogger named New Baldy PhD. Old fans who follow me should know that I'm a die-hard fan of Dr. X. As a top expert in biomedicine, he has been involved in many fields, especially in the field of medicine. He's a god among gods. However, he withdrew from the most cutting-edge experimental research a year ago and chose to take the theoretical route instead. I couldn't figure it out, no matter how hard I thought about it. It wasn't until recently that I learned that Dr. X was forced to stop his research because his right hand was injured and his nerves were damaged. What shocked me even more was that his hand wasn't injured by accident. It was caused by Xiangyi V. I have the video as evidence. A bright star in the scientific research field has fallen, and a so-called star in the entertainment industry has become extremely popular. It's really magical realism. Alas, how unfortunate, how ironic. Chapter 189. The blogger was usually humorous and witty, and he even had a private message account. He would often post posts about the campus life of some fans, such as weird teachers and weird classmates. He had quite a lot of fans. Hence, when this Weibo post was posted, it immediately became popular. The fans of Two Under One Roof and Xiangyi's fans who rushed over after hearing the news didn't believe it first, but after watching the video, they all fell silent. The video was taken at an outdoor rock climbing base. It was obvious that Xiangyi wasn't wearing any protective gear and was recklessly climbing with her bare hands. However, she didn't climb very high before she ran out of strength. Just as she was about to fall, Xiangli quickly climbed up to save her. However, she didn't know if she was scared or nervous, but after she steadied herself, she bumped into Xiangli. Xiangli also injured his hand as blood slid down his almost transparent fingertips. It was a ghastly sight, but not only did she not show any concern for Xiangli, she even complained that her hand was scratched and cried for the emergency doctor to treat her first. Even if Xiangli was just an ordinary person, the netizens who saw this scene were furious to the extreme, let alone the fact that he was a top medical doctor. I thought Xiangyi was being defamed by Muyao TV, but it turns out she has a bad character to begin with. Vomit. She bumped into him on purpose, right? Dr. X is a national treasure in scientific research. What is she up to? Is she a spy sent by a foreign country? She cried and asked the doctor to treat her first. I'm so disgusted. How can a person be so selfish? I'm going to save my breath. I just want to ask Xiangyi V, why are you still pretending to be a gentle and intellectual girl? Are you AB*TCH? When the public relations department of Muyao TV saw this Weibo post, they slapped their thighs and exclaimed, "This is like giving a pillow when I'm sleepy." The public relations department bought this Weibo post on the spot and made it a hot search. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples, and the ripples were monstrous. The video was equivalent to concrete evidence. The fans were all dumbfounded. Not to mention defending Xiangyi, most of them began to waver on whether they should stop being fans. 20 minutes later, The noob PhD posted a screenshot of the live stream of Two Under One Roof and wrote a line from Tagore's famous poem, "The world kissed me with pain, and I will repay it with a song." The picture was of Xianxia peeling an egg for Xianxia and handing it to her with a smile. This picture successfully caused the netizens' anger to reach its peak. So Xianxia is Dr. X. Oh my God, how can he still smile at his enemy? Doctor, you have a great and compassionate heart, but she doesn't deserve to eat at the same table as you. Kneeling down isn't enough to make up for it. How can she still have the nerve to pretend that nothing happened? A person who can repay kindness with ingratitude to her savior. A person who is so thick-skinned yet still wants to market herself as a victim. With all due respect, she's trash. Absolute trash. In reality, in a certain high-end apartment, Qin Wanyin scrolled through her phone with a smirk. Thinking of how Xianxia had dared to suppress her on the red carpet last time, Qin Wanyin's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. That stupid woman has left so many things in my hands. She sneered. You want to be famous? Dream on. You only deserve to be stepped on by me. She clicked on the chat box with Xianxia and pretended to type. Nai, I didn't expect Xianxia to do such a thing. I don't think I know her anymore. Ding dong. It was Xianxia's reply, which was incomparably firm, frowny face. I believe her. Chapter 190. Qin Wanyin was speechless. If director Yin hadn't been preparing for a big movie, she wouldn't have bothered to maintain her relationship with Xianxia. Before, Xianxia would listen to anything she said. But didn't he just go to the manor to record a show for a day? Why did his attitude towards Xianxia change completely? Qin Wanyin clenched her teeth and typed. But there's video evidence, Xianxia. Qin Wanyin, and there's a technical analysis from the netizens. The video is real and hasn't been edited. She had saved the video immediately after the incident. Qin Wanyin knew better than anyone the authenticity of the video. Xianxia. Oh, Qin Wanyin. I've already said this much. Why is this idiot still so stubborn? Qin Wanyin was conflicted for a long time. She wanted to say something more, but her phone vibrated. It was a WeChat message from Xianxia. Xianxia, I believe in my eyes, and I believe in Sister Xiangxi's character. Even if she really did something wrong, others can criticize and condemn her. But as Sister Xiangxi's friend, we shouldn't talk about her behind her back. Sister Wanyin, this is the last time I'm calling you Sister Wanyin. I'm just someone who doesn't care about reason. You can scold me if you want. But I know that if you did something wrong, Sister Xiangxia would never come to me and say bad things about you like you're doing now. Qin Wanyin was dumbfounded. How could this be? Xianxia would rather speak for Xiangxia, the perpetrator, than stand on her side? At the manor, the scheduled guests arrived a little late due to a delayed flight. Today's invited guest was also related to Shui. He personally went to the entrance to greet her. Li Jinyu motioned for Xiangxi's cameraman to leave. He walked to Xiangxi's side and motioned for her to turn off the microphone. Sister E, is Dr. Xiang's hand injury really related to you? Li Jinyu couldn't bring himself to say it. He stole a glance at Xiangxia. The young doctor was flipping through a book on the open bookshelf. His head was lowered, and he looked serious and focused. The girl was silent for 2 seconds before she nodded. Although the soul wasn't hers, there was no way to explain it. Li Jinyu was extremely shocked. After a while, he sighed and patted Xiangxi's shoulder. I'm a few years older than you, so I should be qualified to nag at you. Sister E, I think Dr. Xiang doesn't seem to want to argue with you, but did you properly apologize? Xiangxia smiled bitterly. I haven't seen him in a long time. Li Jinyu said solemnly. If you did something wrong, the least you should do is apologize. Thank you. I will apologize and make up for it. It's good that you can think that way. Li Jinyu heaved a sigh of relief. You're a good kid who knows how to correct your mistakes. At this moment, Shui came to pick up the guests. Before entering the door, they heard a burst of clear laughter. Oh, this place is really nice. The birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. The air is good. Old Sheng, I told you I was right. Old Sheng said helplessly, Madam, slow down. You walk slowly. I'm going to the kitchen to see if there are any leftovers from little Xiangxia. A middle-aged woman took the lead and stepped into the living room. She was born with a pair of smiling eyes. When she saw Xianxia, she greeted her warmly. "Hello, little Xianxia." Xianxia rubbed her eyes in disbelief. It was actually her childhood goddess, Xianxia. "Hello, Teacher Yin," she greeted politely. Suddenly, she saw Xianxia waving at Shui. "Son, help Mom see if there's any leftovers." Chapter 191. Xianxia had heard that Mother Shi had been recuperating overseas due to health reasons. She had never seen her before, so she was stunned. "Ms. Yin is Shui's mother? That can't be right? Shui said helplessly. "Mama Yin, are you here to record a show or to eat?" Xianxia said indignantly. "Of course I'm here for the food." Shui asked, "Can you pay for the food?" Puffed. The interaction between the two made many netizens laugh, and for a moment, the comments in the live stream finally returned to normal. Wow, so this episode is Mama Yin. I cry every time I watch, writing a letter to you so far away. Ms. Yin is indeed an experienced actress. Her acting skills are way better than the young actors nowadays. What the hell? Shui's biological mother is here? Is it that exciting? Let me explain. Mama Yin and Shui have worked together in a movie before. They acted as mother and son, and it was very touching. If you're interested, go watch it. Xianxia? She's just an auntie who got remarried. What's there to see? Can't the production team invite some guests I know? Knows. I'm slowly typing a question mark. When Ms. Yin was young, she not only won the Best Actress Award in the country, but also won the Best Actress Award at the International Film Awards. Her professional skills are top-notch, and her looks and figure still on point. What era is it now? She's still using her second marriage to attack women? Seeing the interaction between the two, Xianxia came to a realization. They probably just worked together before. The young girl silently brought breakfast over. Xianxia happily dragged her husband to eat. She tried a vegetarian bun first and was instantly amazed. "Little Xianxia, your cooking is superb." Xianxia was especially good at praising others. "This bun should only exist in heaven. It's rare to see it on earth. It's so delicious, I'm not going to leave." Xianxia's husband, Sheng Guang, was a famous calligrapher. He had an elegant and refined personality, and there was a sense of calmness in his body. However, after tasting the steamed buns and bean dregs, he also nodded and praised, "These home-cooked dishes have the taste of delicacies." Xianxia replied with a smile, "Teachers, you flatter me." After breakfast, Shui took Xianxia to visit the garden. Sheng Guang was a scholar, so he habitually looked at the bookshelves. Coincidentally, Xiang Li was holding an ancient book. The two of them had similar interests, so they chatted for a while. Xianxia went to the kitchen to make chicken and pumpkin rice for Xiao Naofu. The image of her all alone was particularly tragic in the live broadcast room. The netizens on Weibo were full of confidence, and they didn't hold back when they attacked. Seeing that be asterisk stage Xiang being isolated, I'm relieved. So satisfying? Don't say that she's pitiful. She deserves it. That be asterisk tch Xiang's only worth is cooking. The production team shouldn't give her any more screen time. Just let her be a maid and do odd jobs. Bad comments flooded in like a tide, covering the sky and earth. In a trance, Li Jinyu felt as if he had returned to the first day of the live stream. At that time, Xianxia had also been criticized by the entire internet. She had finally managed to turn things around, only to be beaten back into the mud. He had a headache. Even if he was biased towards Xianxia from a personal perspective, he could only temporarily reduce her screen time and presence. The netizens who had discovered this became even more derisive. Seems like the production team has given up on her. Why aren't the fans of the actress Xiang dancing? And the fans of the untimely CP, why are they so quiet today? Can I ask if she's guilty of intentional injury? If she has violated the law, she should be punished by the law. Chapter 192. In the past year, Xianxia had really left a bad impression on the public. Everyone had already formed an inherent impression of her. Xianxia's name had long been equated with words such as vase, crybaby, and incompetent. Over the past few days, Xianxia had indeed gained a group of fans through the red carpet shows of Two Under One Roof and tomato entertainment. However, in the face of conclusive evidence, the loyal fans of the CP felt helpless. Not to mention, the haters who entered the scene later had very dirty mouths. At the same time, Eating Well for all 3 meals was finally able to start broadcasting on time after experiencing the storm of a last-minute change in leadership. In the conference room of Muyao TV, it was rare for the executives to gather. Heartbeat started high and ended low. Even though several guests had their own traffic, it was still difficult to reverse the trend. The conversion rate for new viewers was very low. Hence, Muyao TV was now betting on Eating Well for all 3 meals. Hello, everyone. He was over 40 years old, but his body was not fat at all. His muscles were taut, and it was obvious that he worked out regularly. With his wheat-colored skin and handsome facial features, when he smiled, he instantly pulled people back to the most glorious era of martial arts films. Hello, I'm Xianxia. Snuggling up to him intimately was his wife, Xianxia. Her voice was unique, clear, and very story-like. It immediately reminded people of her most popular songs from back then. He raised his hand and brushed away the leaves in her hair. The couple looked at each other, and Yi smiled in a simple and honest manner. Jiangyan's eyes curved into crescents as well. The pop-up comments started flooding in. These two are my youth. This couple has taken good care of themselves. It's not an exaggeration to say that they look 10 to 20 years younger than ordinary people of the same age. Who would have thought that the iron-blooded tough man of the past would now be so silly? Goddess Jiang is even more beautiful than she was back then. She's clearly a woman nourished by love. The memory slaying had worked. Looking at the more than 4 million viewers in the upper right corner, the executives were extremely excited. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's not even the peak of traffic, yet there's such a figure. It's a success. I made the right bet. Someone suddenly asked, "What about 2 Under One Roof?" The 2 programs had the same positioning and were both broadcasted all day during the weekend. Naturally, the data had to be compared. The staff immediately pulled up the data of 2 Under One Roof, and the scene suddenly fell into a dead silence. It was also 9 o'clock in the morning, but the number of viewers for 2 Under One Roof was as high as 6 million. The number of viewers was even higher than last night's peak. It was almost comparable to the amount of attention on the day of the premiere. Generally, variety shows were the most popular in the first episode and would slowly decline after that. This was also reflected in Heartbeat. But why was the data of 2 Under One Roof so unscientific? And it was getting higher and higher. We've done some analysis on 2 Under One Roof. The marketing manager was experienced and went straight to the point. First of all, last night's public opinion brought 2 Under One Roof great popularity. Secondly, the injury incident that broke out today. While the netizens were angry, they were also curious about the show. Finally, now that the perpetrator and the victim are on the same show, this natural sense of anticipation is even more attractive than a carefully written script. I'm looking forward to the next development. You can think of it as a TV series. Now that it has reached its climax, it's suddenly stopped. Who wouldn't want to continue watching it? Chapter 193. Everyone understood the logic, but they found it hard to accept the reality. The executives patiently watched for half an hour. Yi and Jiangyun performed well and had high popularity, so the number of viewers remained stable. However, what Muyao TV wanted wasn't stability. It was popularity. Compared to 2 Under One Roof, the numbers were still barely satisfactory. Besides, Yi and Jiangyun had received a total of hundreds of millions of yuan in remuneration. After spending so much money, the executives immediately felt indignant that the show was not as popular as they had expected. Had they known earlier, they would have invited a few cheaper guests. Perhaps there would have been more viewers. Change the live stream to 2 Under One Roof. I want to see what's so attractive about this variety show, the director ordered in a deep voice. The deputy director sneered. If you had known this would happen, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. She was dressed in a black and white office dress, with exquisite makeup and a strong aura. She looked like a typical career woman. From the beginning, She had been opposed to the practice of plagiarizing the ideas of other shows. However, although she was capable, her connections were mediocre. Recently, she had been deeply involved in factional struggles and had lost most of her voice. Previously, when Li Jinyu was forced to leave, she was the first to try and salvage the situation. After being rejected, she even gave Li Jinyu a lot of pointers. She was happy that Two Under One Roof was becoming more and more popular. That was because the market needed a healthy ecosystem and healthy competition. Unfortunately, now, it had become an era where bad money drove out good money and profits were paramount. In the manor, the guests were divided into two groups. Xianxia learned how to make kimchi from Xianxia, while Shengguang, Xiang Li, and Shui went to pick fruits to make jam later. Don't use unboiled water and oil when making kimchi. You must use cold water. Xianxia explained the steps of making kimchi in a gentle voice. She even wrote down a sticky note and stuck it in a conspicuous place. It served as a reminder and also to avoid missing anything. Xianxia fell in love with this young lady at first sight, probably because of fate. Before coming, she had read a lot of rumors about Xiangyi on the internet. She didn't believe them at first, but after seeing the real person, she was even more certain. Because she worked too hard in her early years, she fell ill. The doctor diagnosed that it would be difficult for her to get pregnant in this lifetime, and her ex-husband divorced her because of this. Fortunately, she met Shengguang. The two of them were very loving, but there were still netizens who made an issue out of her inability to have children. She didn't quite understand why someone would say such nasty words through the screen. In Xianxia's side, if I hadn't gone into filming and got married early, my daughter might have been as old as you, little Xiangyi. Xiangyi's eyelashes fluttered and her eyes were as clear as water. Teacher Yin, do you regret it? Many people have asked me this question, and my answer is still no regrets. With that, Xianxia's eyes turned blank. But I'm not sure about the future. She was actually very afraid. She was afraid that one day in the future, she would regret it. Who knows what will happen in the future? The only thing that never changes in this world is change itself. Xianxia pondered for a moment and said, "Makes sense. Logic is logic, but humans have never been purely rational creatures. So, Teacher Yin, may I ask if I can give you a hug?" The girl's eyes were slightly curved. Bathed in the warm sunlight, they were bright and soft. Xianxia was stunned for a moment. Then, she took the initiative to hug her. Perhaps all she needed was a gentle hug from the beginning. Chapter 194. The audience in front of the screen felt touched for some reason. It was another brief hug. However, they somehow felt a sense of healing. I don't know why, but I'm suddenly very touched. I'm crying. Mama Yin makes people empathize with her so easily. QQ. Although I know I'm going to get scolded, I still want to say that Xiangyi did something wrong, but at this moment, I feel that she has a very high EQ and is also very warm. Xianxia hasn't had it easy all these years. She gave up her career and got married, but her ex-husband abused her because she couldn't have children. She's really strong to be able to courageously pursue her career and love again. However, no matter how strong a person was, there would always be a soft spot in their hearts. On the other hand, the three men soon picked a few baskets of fruits. "Mr. Shang, would you like to come fishing later? The fish in the pond here are quite plump," Shui asked Shengguang in a gentle tone. Shengguang was quite interested in fishing. He nodded and said, "Sure, but do you have fishing rods?" "Yes, we have fishing rods, base station rods, and lure rods," Xiangli answered casually. In the past, Xiangyi's grandfather would stay here for a short period of time. Xiangyi loved fishing, so there was a complete set of fishing equipment at home. Shengguang thought that he had seen the place where the fishing rods were, so he didn't think much of it. Instead, he said eagerly, "Shall we compete later?" As he spoke, the bamboo basket in Xiang Li's right hand suddenly slipped out of his hand, and the peaches inside rolled onto the ground. His expression didn't change as he calmly switched to holding two bamboo baskets in his left hand. Shui looked at Xiang Li's right hand, wanting to say something but hesitated. In the end, she didn't say anything and silently took one of the baskets from his hand. Xiang Li didn't seem to mind. and he was even in the mood to mock himself. Fortunately, I'm left-handed. However, the netizens watching the live stream were extremely upset. My heart aches for him. Xianxia's hand is more precious than a surgeon's. I'm crying because he can't hold the bamboo basket. It's obvious that he can't do experiments that require more precision. Xiang, when are you going to apologize? Kneeling and kowtowing isn't enough to appease your anger. Why are you still pretending? Muyao TV. The big screen in the conference room had a bullet screen function, and the angry comments of the netizens could be clearly seen. However, the number of viewers kept rising. While eating well for all 3 meals was still stable at more than 4 million viewers, Two Under One Roof had soared to more than 8 million viewers. Soon, it would break through the 10 million mark. 10 million was a dividing line. Xianxia live streaming was famous for its statistics, and all the viewers were real. Compared to the current most popular live streamers, game streamers, and so on, there was only one live streamer who broke the 10 million mark, and that was on the day of the annual shopping festival. No, we can't let them continue broadcasting like this. The higher-ups were anxious and had all kinds of suggestions. For example, arranging a script for Zhuo Yi and Jiangyan making them quarrel, and even threatened to break up to attract attention. But it was quickly rejected. Not enough. Both of them didn't have enough traffic and popularity. How about I contact that hacker again? The head of the public relations department asked cautiously. His skills are good enough, but his fees are quite expensive. The deputy station head's tone was strong as he objected. Nonsense. We have to have a bottom line. If we resort to such despicable means, what's the difference between us and shameless people? Absolutely not. Contact him. The station head suddenly interrupted her, his eyes cold and cruel. Chapter 195. The deputy director looked at him in disbelief. She thought that Muyao TV was only rotten on the surface, but she didn't expect it to be rotten to the core. The person in charge of the public relations department immediately took action and contacted the mysterious hacker, Chu San, using a specific method. It was said that he was ranked in the top 1% of hackers in the world on Innocence, the largest website for hackers. Chu San got out of bed sleepily with his hair that hadn't been washed for days and began typing code with his eyes still in a daze. It might be difficult for others to hack into a live stream, but for him, who was ranked in the top 1% of hackers in the world, it was just a matter of time. Click! The crisp sound of the last enter key being hit could be heard. The compile program began to automatically attack Xianxia livestream and locked onto the live stream of Two Under One Roof. Lines of code flashed like a stream of light, and black and white formed the most beautiful language in the world. Chu San yawned and got ready to go back to sleep. All of a sudden, a large red warning window popped up. Oh, someone wrote a new security wall? Chu San got excited, and the excitement of being able to spar with an expert surged into his brain. He quickly wrote the attack program, but as he wrote, he realized that something was wrong. Where did Xianxia Livestream find this expert? This code, it's almost beyond my understanding. Chu San gritted his teeth and tried his best. However, the safety wall on the other side was like a tall mountain that he could never surpass. The speed at which he typed on the keyboard went from fast to faster, and then gradually slowed down. In the end, he gave up on the futile struggle. Beep, beep, beep. You have been locked from the inside. Chu San's face turned pale. He had locked onto the live stream of Two Under One Roof at first, but he didn't expect to be counterlocked. Oh no. He immediately began to pack his things and stuffed a few hard drives and a computer into his suitcase. Without taking any clothes or shoes, he opened the door and was about to escape. Several police officers stood outside the door and showed their IDs with stern faces, vaguely revealing the silver light of the handcuffs on their waists. It's over. That was the only thought in Chu San's mind. In the manner. After answering the call, Li Jinyu said into the microphone, I received a notice that a hacker has just attacked our live stream, but fortunately, the hacker has now been brought to justice. We will release a detailed statement on our official Weibo account later. What? Hacker? The netizens in front of the screen were all dumbfounded. After all, This word had only appeared on TV before. It was too far away from real life. A few minutes later, 2 Under One Roof's official Weibo account was updated. 2 Under One Roof V. Ever since our live stream started, we've been attacked by hackers several times, which is why our live stream is always interrupted. Thank you, Dr. Xianxia, for writing the security wall program for us. Not only did it successfully block the hacker's attack, but it also tracked the hacker's IP address. Thank you at Ping and Nanxing for catching the suspect as soon as possible. Thank you for your hard work. In the end, he wanted to say, don't stretch out your hand, otherwise you'll be caught. Competition, please come fair and square. Please take a seat yourself. Doghead. Once the Weibo post was posted, the netizens were shocked. First, he was surprised. So, it was a malicious competition. Secondly, he was surprised. Dr. Xiang was too amazing. More and more people flooded into the live broadcast room. Muyao TV. The higher-ups watched helplessly as the number of viewers of 2 in one room jumped to 9. 57 million at a frightening speed. Chapter 196. 10 million was imminent. Unstoppable. Everyone's expression was so ugly that they looked as if they had swallowed a fly. Especially when the head of the public relations department read the Weibo post posted by 2 Under One Roof. Instantly, what the hell is going on? Isn't he one of the top 1% hackers in the world? Why is he so vulnerable? Will he rat us out? Everyone was worried. Looking at the ugly faces, the deputy station head sneered, feeling as if he had fed all of his youth to Meow TV to the dogs. The station head retorted, what are you panicking for? Whoever started it will be responsible. What does it have to do with us? What does it have to do with us? The head of the public relations department's expression changed immediately. She realized that she had been abandoned. When the others heard this, they heaved a sigh of relief. Not only did no one comfort her, but they also looked at her with gloating eyes. It was the look of someone who had found a scapegoat. The head of the public relations department was disheartened. She finally understood the cruelty of the workplace. Dang, our pickles are ready. Xianxia beamed at the camera, her tone full of accomplishment. She and Xianxia pickled several jars, including the carrots harvested by the C7 brothers yesterday, as well as beans, cabbage, cucumbers, lettuce, and so on. The pickle water was boiled with water, peppercorns, star anise, cinnamon, bay leaves, old ginger, rock sugar, and other ingredients. After cooling, wild mountain peppers, small rice peppers, and sorghum wine were added, and the vegetables were soaked in. After the water tank at the mouth of the pickle jars was filled with water, the jars were sealed, and they quietly waited for time to give them a taste. Xianxia smiled gently at the side. Teacher Ian, if you like it, you could bring 2 more jars back. Then I won't stand on ceremony with you. The more Xianxia looked at Xianxia, the more satisfied she was. The girl had a good temper, patience, and a sweet tongue. She was so likable. Xianxia used to hate cooking the most, but today, she was happy with the pickles. What did you stew in the kitchen? I can smell the medicine. It's a medicinal cuisine prepared for Dr. Xiang. Xianxia bit her lips. The girl who was as bright and beautiful as a sunflower seemed to have lost her light. She was so listless that she couldn't lift her spirits. Xianxia didn't know what happened between Xianxia and Xianxia. She only felt that the little girl was quite pitiful. She touched Xiangyi's head tenderly and said, don't be unhappy. You still look the best when you smile. The livestream room was filled with netizens' sarcastic comments. What is she pretending for? Her acting skills are quite shameless. Don't. Our doctor brother wouldn't dare to drink your medicinal cuisine. Who's going to take responsibility if something goes wrong after drinking it? Chinese medicine is unreliable to begin with. Not to mention that TCH Xiang and Dr. X have old grudges. Maybe she's hoping for something to happen to Dr. Xiang. When the ambulance arrives, she can ask the doctor to treat the skin on her hand from a year ago. While they were talking, Shui and the others came back with the fish baskets. Xiangyi's eyes met with her brother's in the air, but she timidly avoided his gaze, not daring to look at him at all. Xianxia frowned. Although he knew a little about medicine, he really couldn't read a girl's mind, especially his sister. She was clearly back, so why was she still avoiding him? Hubby, the fish you caught is so big. Is this a carp or a Christian carp? Xianxia pointed at the fish basket and asked. She caught a glimpse of a few sneaky figures in the corner of her eye and exclaimed, "Who are those people? They're not thieves, are they?" Everyone looked over and realized that something was wrong. Chapter 197. Seems like they really are thieves, Sheng Guang said hesitantly. But what happened next confirmed his and Xianxia's speculation. The men came out of the chicken coop with several eggs in their hands. One of them even had a clucking chicken in his hand. Great. They're definitely thieves. Li Jinyu hurriedly said, "Everyone be careful. Don't go forward rashly. Be careful. They might have knives or something. I'll call 11. Before he could finish his sentence, a fair and slender girl, not far away, ran over quickly as if she was stepping on the wind. Ah! Li Jinyu's eyes widened as he silently complained in his heart. Sister, he said you don't know martial arts. What else could this be if not Qinggong? The netizens in the stream? Let's not talk about anything else. The Xiang actress is running a bit fast. So what if she runs fast? She's alone. Can she beat the thieves? But then again, these thieves are a bit arrogant, stealing chickens in broad daylight. This chicken is so fragrant. Ah, so fat. Jiangxua panicked and shouted, "Little Xiangyi, stop. Don't be impulsive. They have more people." The next second, she grabbed her husband's fishing rod and rushed forward. Sheng Guang, as expected of my wife. He helplessly followed, not forgetting to grab a fishing rod. A gentleman uses his mouth, not his fists, but he can use his weapon. The netizens? Is it okay for the husband and wife to attack together? Shi Sui and Xiang Li also strode forward. The scene was completely chaotic. The cameraman and lighting technician all followed, while the other crew members also grabbed wooden sticks and shovels. Some even grabbed ropes. By the time they arrived, for thieves were lying on the ground, and the last one was easily blocked by Xiangyi. The two sides were in a stalemate. Everyone, for some reason, they felt like their presence was unnecessary. Xiangyi's face was cold. Why did you steal? In front of her was a teenager. His hair was shaved very short, and there were a few new and old wounds on his forehead and face. He was like the most difficult person to control, and the corners of his mouth curved into a wanton arc. If you want to steal, then steal. Do you need a reason? At most, I'll just return it to you. When the youths on the ground heard this, they laughed and took out eggs from their pockets and threw them on the ground. Pa pa pa, the egg hit the cobblestone path and broke into pieces. The egg white and yolk flowed all over the ground. It was so quiet that only the sound of the wind could be heard. However, there was a heated discussion in the live stream. Are you kidding me? They're all hooligans. They don't look like poor kids from the way they're dressed. It's so infuriating to deliberately ruin the food. DBQ, let me digress. The guy leading the group is a little handsome. The campus gang leaders in novels all have faces now. Xiangyi frowned, and her eyes fell on the young man. She slowly pulled out the shirt tie hidden in his coat and tightened it. The young man was forced to lean forward, and the distance between them was shortened. The young man's heart skipped a beat. Right in front of him was an extremely beautiful face. Her skin was as white as porcelain, and her eyes were as cold as the stars. Plop! The young man's Adam's apple bobbed slightly as he said fiercely and arrogantly, "Let go of me." Xiangyi raised her eyebrows. "Little kid, let go of my chicken first." Under everyone's watchful eyes, the girl calmly snatched her chicken from his hand and put it back into the chicken coop. Now, we can start settling the score. Chapter 198. There was a moment of silence. The rebellious teenager said carelessly, "I don't have money. I can't afford it." The other boys also expressed that they were penniless. Seeing that they were all quite young, Jiangxua couldn't bear it. "Why don't we just forget it? It's just a few eggs anyway. They're not worth much. We can't just let it go." Xiangyi took out her phone and asked without looking up, "What's your guardian's phone number?" The comments began to scold. "It's just a few eggs. Is it worth it? The child is still young. Must she be so calculative? She's always bragging about being fair, rich, and beautiful. Why would she care about such a small amount of money? It's probably because she's stingy enough that she can become rich. B*TCH Xiang is really outrageous. I know this kid. He's the son of our company's boss. Why would he steal? No, I have to tell our boss quickly. The rebellious teenager's body stiffened before he said stiffly, I don't remember. Your teacher's phone number? I dropped out of school. Xianxia looked up and stared at him for a while. The teenager felt inexplicably guilty under her gaze, and he felt that her calm eyes had already seen through all their plans. Xianxia put away her phone. Then stay and work. Pay off your debts with your labor. The teenager was stunned and said, You're illegally using child labor, yet you still trespassed into other people's homes and destroyed other people's property, causing me huge losses. Xianxia said indifferently. The benefits of having a lawyer as a brother were evident, as she could casually use legal terms. The teenager was speechless for a while. What's a few eggs considered a huge loss? Why didn't this woman call the police? Have you forgotten about that chicken? What you're doing is considered attempted harm. The boys were rendered speechless and were ordered to clean the chicken coop by Xianxia in a daze. The girl avoided the camera and gestured to Li Jinyu. The two went to the side to talk. Please find 2 people to get some information from. I suspect these kids have other motives. Huh? Aren't they just a bunch of naughty kids? Xianxia shook her head. My intuition. They seem to want me to call the police, but if I do, they'll have a criminal record. Burglary was against the law. Li Jinyu was stunned. What kind of operation is this? You want to go to the police station for a day trip? Were all kids nowadays so careless? If he really left behind a criminal record, it would be a stain for life. I'll let old Li and old Wang go. They're old foxes. It's not a problem for them to deal with a few brats. Under the pavilion, the guests were making jam together. Shui was in charge of washing the fruits. Sheng Guang and Xiangli were in charge of peeling and removing the seeds. Xianxia was in charge of soaking them in salt water, and Xiangyi was in charge of boiling the jam. Xianxia smiled and said, We're basically the assembly line of the 2 under one roof jam production, right? Natural, organic, handmade. If you want to buy it, hurry up. Here, director, give me the link. 54,321. Li Jinyu wailed behind a camera. Teacher how can you cheat people like this? Where can I get the link for you? Laughter filled the air, and the atmosphere was harmonious. The livestream viewers were also praising Xianxia. Although she was a senior, she was very humorous. Just then, there was a sudden rush of a car horn at the door. Beep, beep, beep. A mystery guest? Xianxia asked in confusion. The program team's staff members were confused. They didn't invite anyone else. The crisp sound of high heels stepping on the stone floor could be heard from afar, and a woman dressed like a rich lady appeared in front of everyone. Chapter 199. Her makeup was decent, and her simple black dress was of high quality. Gathering her silk shawl, she looked around and said in a haughty tone, You're filming a show? I order you. No scenes of me are allowed in the post-production, or you'll have to bear the consequences. When she arrived, she only knew that her son was at Little Rabbit Farm and didn't know that there was a live broadcast here. Everyone in the show, Who are you, Mayim? The audience in the live broadcast room was much more direct. TSK, what arrogance. Does she not even know that this is a live broadcast? Such a strong sense of superiority, it's obvious that she's been putting on airs a lot. Xiangyi slowly stood up. Ma, what can I do for you? This is my home. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to barge in without saying hello? Please find someone qualified to talk to me. The rich woman interrupted her rudely. Xiangyi raised her eyebrows and crossed her arms, wondering if she should get the security to throw her out. Li Jinyu motioned for the cameraman to move the camera away and said tactfully, You're the director? Then you should be the person with the most authority here. That's good. I don't like dealing with those entertainers anyway. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became extremely cold. Li Jinyu frowned. Please pay attention to your words. Being an entertainer is also a job. Everyone is born equal. The rich woman rolled her eyes in disdain and didn't want to argue with him on this topic anymore. She got straight to the point. Where's my son? I want to see him. At this time, the brats finally finished cleaning the chicken coop and were carried over by Lao Wang, the planner. He had just gotten some information and felt that the situation was more serious than he had imagined. It probably wouldn't be easy to solve. The rich woman saw her son at a glance and exclaimed, "Rong Rong, how did you get the wound on your face?" When the troublemaker saw her, his expression suddenly changed, and he turned to leave, only to hear his mother screaming, "He just took a few rotten eggs. Do you know who my husband is? How dare you hit my son?" Xianxia said calmly, "Let me correct you. First, his injury wasn't caused by us. Second, we don't care who your husband is. Third, taking without asking is called stealing. They're not taking, they are stealing." The young girl's logic was clear, reasonable, and convincing. The rich lady, on the other hand, was like a shrew. "What do you mean by stealing? These kids are just under too much pressure from studying. How about this? I'll pay you and let them come here regularly to relieve their stress. Name your price." She had heard this move from the rich ladies in the circle. Children were under a lot of pressure, so what was wrong with taking something? They just had to pay a small fee to the stationery store or the convenience store afterwards. Even the owners of those shops welcomed the children. Xiangyi's worldview was greatly impacted. She asked, "You mean you pay these children to steal things? I already said it's to relieve stress. Don't you understand human language? Why do you keep saying steal? Why are your words so unpleasant?" The thorn-headed youth looked at his mother coldly. The other youths had numb expressions on their faces, as if they were used to this. Their family members had also settled things the same way. Xianxia, who had endured for a long time, said angrily, "As a mother, why don't you think about how to teach your children well? Why do you use such an unorthodox method to solve problems?" The rich lady glanced over. She also watched movies and recognized Xianxia. She sneered, "I was wondering who it was. So it's a hen that can't lay eggs. What right do you have to talk about others?" Chapter 200. Hearing the words hen that can't lay eggs, Xianxia's face turned pale. As the saying goes, don't hit someone in the face and don't expose their shortcomings. This sentence was the most hurtful to Xianxia. The netizens watching the live stream were also furious. Where did this shrew come from? I really want to slap her across the screen. Teacher Ying can't give birth even if she wants to. She's already in so much pain, yet she still wants to expose her scars. I'm so angry. Mother Ying loves children so much. She dotes on Shui like her own son, but she ended up being scolded by this crazy woman. I feel so sorry for her. Sheng Guang immediately hugged Xianxia and comforted her softly. Xianxia's eyes turned red. However, the rich woman was not ashamed and instead felt proud. You're jealous of others because you can't give birth. I can educate my son however I want, but it's not up to you to criticize him. Enough. The rebellious young man suddenly hollered and looked at Xianxia coldly. What did you say just now? Trespassing into someone else's home? She's already committed a crime. Aren't you going to call the police? The rich woman was dumbfounded. Rong Rong, what are you talking about? I'm your mother. How can you let an outsider call the police and arrest your biological mother? Rong Huai clenched his jaw and turned away to avoid looking at her. Xiangyi frowned, and the strange feeling in her heart grew stronger. Lao Wang, the planner, came to her side and whispered everything to her. Xiangyi pondered for a few seconds and said, "Forget it. It's just a few eggs. I don't really care. Besides, you've already cleaned the chicken coop as compensation. Take care. I won't send you off." The production crew was dumbfounded. How about you just let it go like that? The netizens also expressed their displeasure. The actress Yang is just bullying the weak and fearing the strong. She probably thinks that this rich woman's family is rich, so she doesn't dare to go against her. What a coward. But all of a sudden, the young girl's tone changed. You guys are from Mingxi Boys High School nearby, right? Today is the homecoming day. I'll send you back to school, and each of you will write a self-reflection in front of the form teacher. The rich woman yelled, "Didn't you say that you don't care? Why are you writing a self-reflection?" The youths were extremely excited. Rong Huai's Adam's apple bobbed as he suppressed his emotions and pretended to be nonchalant. "Sure, send us there then." Xiangyi said, "I'll get the car. We've been together for so many years. One car isn't enough for you." The girl said calmly, "Don't worry, I can fit you." It's a convertible. Rong Huai muttered in his heart. Could be a convertible sports car? A few minutes later, everyone looked at the convertible tractor that Xianxia borrowed from Little Rabbit Farm and fell into a mysterious silence. The corners of Rong Huai's mouth twitched. Why does such a beautiful sister drive a tractor? What are you waiting for? I have a tractor license, Xianxia said calmly. Rong Huai got into the car expressionlessly. The other children followed. The lady said, "Allow you to come down. How can you sit in this kind of car?" Rong Huai said coldly, "I just want to sit here. Aren't you busy? Anyway, there are teachers in school. You can leave now." Hearing this, the lady hesitated. She did have an afternoon tea salon to attend. Besides, the management of Mingxi Boys High School was very strict. As long as she was sent to school, there was nothing to worry about. At the thought of this, she took out her mobile phone and transferred some pocket money to Rong Huai. Rong, you have to listen to the teachers when you go to school, okay? I still have something to do, so I'll get going first. Send me a text message when you reach school." Staring at her back view, Rong Huai smirked sarcastically. Chapter 201. In her heart, her son would never be the #1 priority. Xianxia was about to set off when a tall figure suddenly appeared beside her, accompanied by a man's deep and magnetic voice. "Let's go together." She turned her face to the side and realized that it was Xianxia. Naturally, she sat on her left. The driver's seat of the tractor was very spacious, so it was fine for one person to sit. However, the young lady felt that something was amiss. Before he had time to think about it, another gentle and clear voice sounded, "I want to go too." Xianxia sat calmly on his sister's right. "Huh? Brother wants to go too?" It was fine for 2 people to sit in the driver's seat, but it would inevitably be a little crowded with 3 people. The slender girl was sandwiched in the middle like a vegetable leaf in a sandwich. Everyone was dumbfounded. The netizens were dumbfounded. What kind of operation is this? Could it be that the tractor is very attractive to Prince Charming? This scene is so funny. Is this a lifestyle variety show or a comedy variety show? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As long as you have a tractor, you can have 6 men. I'm going to order a tractor now. The production team drove another car and followed them to film. Li Jinyu teased, "We're considered to be filming an outdoor scene. Guys, give us some 666. Because this segment was too entertaining, there were fewer comments scolding Xianxia. In the beginning, Rong Huai and the rest were still a little nervous for fear that the tractor would be bumpy. To their surprise, the pretty girl was indeed someone with a driving license for agriculture machinery. Not only did she look ethereal when driving the tractor, but she was also very proficient at it. The tractor drove steadily on the road. Soon, they arrived at Mingxi Boys High School. Xianxia had heard of this school before. It was a very strict private high school, and there were rumors that going there for a few months was more effective than going to Transfiguration. Many wealthy and middle-class people in South City liked to send their children to this school in the name of training. It was said that the children who graduated from this school were very outstanding and self-disciplined. They were like geniuses. Xianxia turned around and asked, "This is the place, right?" The boys remained silent. After a while, Rong Huai gritted his teeth and said softly, "Yes." In order to sharpen his acting skills, Xianxia had once studied a series of micro-expressions. He was keenly aware of the abnormalities of the teenagers. He exchanged a glance with Xianxia and reached a consensus through eye contact. There was something wrong with this school. Seeing the car at the school gate, someone from a security booth immediately came out with a stun baton in his hand and shouted, "Are you the students' parents? Didn't I tell you that cars are not allowed to drive to the school? Students have to walk from Bo Shui Road." Xianxia frowns almost imperceptibly. Bo Shui Road is at least a few kilometers away from here. How can he walk here on such a hot day? Was this reasonable? That's not right. Why did you bring a camera? The security guard saw the camera equipment in the car next to them, and his facial muscles twitched. "Turn it off. Hurry up and close it. Otherwise, I'll smash it. This is illegal filming." Li Jinyu got out of the car and negotiated in a friendly manner. "You guys, we are a variety show. May I ask if we can go in and record? It won't take long." The security guard objected anxiously. "No, you must leave immediately. Otherwise, we'll call the police." Before he could finish speaking, a thin and tall figure appeared on the rooftop. He was so shaky that it made one panic. Chapter 202. Li Jinyu got a great shock and exclaimed, "There's a child over there!" The netizens in the live stream were also shocked. Is he going to commit suicide? This is so scary. Quick, think of something. Oh my God, how did this happen? I always thought that committing suicide was a distant concept. The security officer turned around and said in a tone that he was used to it, "Hey, that's just the students playing around. Hurry up and leave." Li Jinyu's temper flared up. He was usually a coward, but he had a bottom line. He hollered angrily, "Are you human? Playing around? Do you think this is a matter of life and death? Our school will take care of it. You people don't have to worry about it." The security officer threatened. I said no filming. He waved the electric bat in his hand and was about to hit the camera. The cameraman, Old Zhang, was very experienced. Although he was carrying heavy equipment and was a little plump, he was very agile and nimble. He dodged the attack. The screens of the audience began to shake violently. I'm so immersed in this scene, I'm starting to get nervous. Director, you're right. How can you joke about a human life? Mingxi Boys High School? I think I've heard of this school before. It's very strict, the kind where the students can't bear the burden. At the side, Xianxia had already called the police. She briefly explained the situation and asked the negotiator to come over immediately. The security officer was furious. Do you have nothing better to do? It's none of your business. It's just a human life. Xianxia laughed in exasperation. She slowly stepped forward with a domineering aura. The security officer subconsciously wanted to hit her, but she easily grabbed the electric baton and snatched it away. It's just a human life? Don't you have any respect for life at all? The security officer immediately cowered and hurriedly retreated. Behind her, Rong Huai suddenly said, "It's probably because I'm used to it. Don't spout nonsense. Hurry up and enter the school. Don't mix with these strange people." What should I do? I'm a rebellious person, but I don't want to do as you wish. Rong Huai licked the corner of his lips and said in a nasty and ruffian manner, "Sister, he looks so fierce. I'm scared." The young man tugged at the corner of Xianxi's shirt and complained openly. The other boys also realized that Xianxia was very reliable. They were like little chicks in the game Eagle Catch Chicks. One of them grabbed the clothes of the other and hid behind Xianxia. It felt like a naughty child had found a backer. Shui narrowed her eyes slightly. Xianxia was also unhappy. The two men had the same thought in their hearts. Little brats and whatnot are really annoying. The negotiators arrived as fast as they could. With the police leading the way, the security guards didn't dare to stop them this time. Xianxia and the others also entered the school. The principal hurried out of the office and said in a dignified manner, This is a misunderstanding. It's like this, our school held an art exhibition some time ago, and this student was imitating performance art. He was used to brainwashing the parents of the students, thinking that the whole world would believe him. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention to him. Are you reporters? Which unit are you from? The principal broke out in cold sweat. Why don't you turn off this equipment first? You have to apply for an interview first. Rong Huai stuck half of his face out from behind Xianxia and stared straight at the principal, seemingly provoking and relieved. It's not an interview, it's a live stream that millions of people can watch. Chapter 203. Boom. There was a thunderous roar, and the principal froze on the spot, as if he had been electrocuted. He immediately reacted and blocked the camera with his hand, exasperated. How can you live stream? Turn it off. Turn it off immediately. However, it was too late. The netizens in the live stream condemned. What kind of performance art is this? They're treating human lives like dirt. I feel like this school must be hiding some secrets. We must investigate. That Rong just said that it's nothing strange, but it's terrifying when you think about it. Does this kind of thing happen often? Under the efforts of the negotiators, the child on the rooftop was persuaded to come down. His face was pale, and he looked extremely weak, but his mental state seemed to be normal. However, the moment he saw the principal, his body began to tremble uncontrollably. He was as helpless as a broken petal in the storm. It was fear that came from the depths of his soul. Boo-hoo! He subconsciously wanted to run towards a rooftop, but fortunately, he was stopped. Rong Huai watched this scene coldly, seemingly indifferent. However, his hands hanging by his side slowly clenched into fists. "Sister," he called out to Xianxia in a teasing tone. "Are there many people watching your live stream? Are there 100,000 viewers?" Xianxia said, "I don't know, there should be." She had never paid attention to the statistics of two under one roof and had no idea at all. "Wow, that's very influential." Rong Huai casually placed his elbow on Xianxia's shoulder, but he knew his limits and did not put his entire body weight on it. However, this action seemed very roguish. Before Xianxia could speak, two cold male voices sounded in unison. "Take your hand away." "Don't you want your hand anymore?" The two men had a strong aura, and their gazes were extremely oppressive. Rong Huai was a wolf cub who could easily deal with his peers, but he instinctively sensed danger when facing them. He retracted his hand resentfully and asked in a low voice, "Sister, you have two boyfriends? Do you mind if there's one more?" Xianxia said, "Kid, you're asking for a beating." Rong Huai said, "Sister, can I think about it?" Xianxia raised her eyebrows slightly, and the coldness in her eyes made Rong Huai's heart palpitate. The little wolf cub's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed his saliva. "Sister, I'm good. I won't think about it anymore." "Don't you think it's a little strange?" Li Jinyu scratched his head. "It's an indescribable feeling." Xiangli looked around and said slowly, "Sound." Li Jinyu's eyes lit up. That was right. It was a sound. Since it was homecoming day, there should be a lot of people in the school. However, other than Rong Huai and the other children, the campus was empty. Moreover, even though such a big thing had happened, there was not a single student in the corridor or by the window who came out to watch the show. Even the boys who went to steal the eggs with Rong Huai did not seem surprised at all. Their expressions were so numb that they seemed to have lost their souls. Rong Huai walked in front of the camera. His face was extremely photogenic, and when he smiled at the camera, he looked frivolous and dashing. Because if you make a sound, you'll be locked in the little black room. The principal roared, "Shut up. Don't spout nonsense. There's something wrong with his brain. Don't believe what he says." Rong Huai tilted his head, and the scars on his face intertwined. His smile gradually faded, and he looked like a sickly teenager. "What should we do? I seem to like being a mental patient." Chapter 204. The pop-up comments flooded in like a wave. "Ah, his features determine my values. I love sick people the most. I love this brother. Am I the only one who thinks that Rong is very tough? The principal obviously has a problem. I'm envious of his defiant character. I'm the kind of person who doesn't dare to argue with someone who cuts in line." Countless comments flooded the screen. At the same time, Muyao TV. Everyone could only watch as the number of viewers of Two Under One Roof continued to rise. 973,000,000. 985,000,000. 9,990,000. The numbers jumped again. The first digit became 1. The number of viewers of Two Under One Roof had officially exceeded 10 million. The record for the entire internet was born. Countless people pressed the screenshot button at this moment. There were also countless people who were paying attention to Mingxi Boys High School. The investigation began. Rong Huai brought the police to the so-called small dark room. It was indeed a dark room. "If you make a mistake, you'll be punished by standing here." Rong Huai put his hands in his pockets and said in a mischievous tone, "Of course, even if you don't make a mistake, you might still be arrested apart from the small dark room. There were also weighted sandbags, which were not used for training, but for punishment. The teachers' offices were equipped with electric batons like the ones in the hands of the security guards. There were too many of them. There were too many to mention." Rong Huai's cynical mockery, coupled with the live stream footage, was simply shocking. Is this considered a school or a prison? F***CK, are they still human? They're running 5 kilometers at every turn and dousing people with water in the middle of winter. All personal items are confiscated when entering the school, and even their cell phones have to be handed over to the teachers. Even the text messages to their parents are edited by the teachers. Don't the students have any right to privacy at all? The principal tried to quibble. We're imitating foreign elite schools and implementing militarized management and gentlemanly education. The students who graduate from here are especially outstanding, Sure Sui suddenly asked. What about those who haven't graduated? The principal choked. The answer was self-evident. Children who could endure such a hellish and cruel education were naturally favored by the heavens. What was unbearable was that after being ravaged like this for so many years, his physical and mental health would definitely be severely damaged. This shows that some students are mentally fragile. Children nowadays are too sensitive and pretentious. That's why they're addicted to playing mobile games. Our school is helping them get on the right track in life. Shut up, Li Jinyu roared. Can you be a human? How painful must it be for the children to be tortured by you every day? How sad would the child's parents be if they knew what you did? It was quiet all around. Li Jinyu seemed to have realized something and turned to look at Rong Huai and the other youths. Their faces finally showed some expression. However, it was not joy. The corners of his mouth were full of bitterness and helplessness. Li Jinyu felt his scalp go numb. He couldn't believe it, but he had no choice but to believe it. The parents were all aware of this. The comments in the live stream exploded to the extreme. If there's a need, there's a market. Think about it. Think about it carefully. Oh my God, how desperate must these children be? She doesn't want to spend time with her child, but she's willing to pay someone to beat her child? So the parents are all aware. They clearly know that the school will punish them, but they still sent their child here. In the oppressive and gloomy atmosphere, the girl's sweet and gentle voice sounded slowly like the sound of nature. It's almost time for dinner. Children, are you hungry? There may be more updates coming one after another. Everyone can go to sleep first. Warm, warm, warm again. Red heart. I'm begging for votes. Chapter 205. Rong Huai and the others were stunned. This question caught them off guard. It seemed that no one in school or at home had cared about them so much for a long time. They were children who had been labeled as a disgrace. They were sent here for being rebellious, disobedient, and addicted to the internet, and were strictly managed. Apart from this cage, there was no place for them to hide and lick their wounds. They were most afraid of sudden concern because it was too confusing. Xianxia blinked and changed her question. Where's the cafeteria? Swish, swish, swish. The sound of potato peels being peeled was transmitted to the live stream through the sound recording device, comforting and healing. The girl's fingers were slender and fair, but they were very nimble. A potato was peeled clean in her hands in just a few seconds. There was already a pile of peeled potatoes in the plastic basin next to her. Li Jinyu asked, Sister E, are you going to cook lunch for these children? Xianxia answered calmly, There's nothing else I can do. Her hands didn't stop moving. After peeling the potatoes, she went on to cut the meat. These ingredients were sent over by the people from Little Rabbit Farm. In the kitchen of the cafeteria, there were only 2 pieces of frozen meat in the freezer. According to Rong Huai, they could only eat a few pieces of minced meat occasionally. There is a strange school rule that said eating too much meat would affect one's IQ, and students were advised to be vegetarian. However, the vegetables weren't very fresh either. The potatoes had sprouted, and the greens were yellow and withered. It was hard to imagine that these growing children usually ate such things. Xianxia and Shangguang rushed over when they heard that she was going to cook for the children, washing, cutting, and frying vegetables. It was supposed to be a boring and tedious task, but because of the girl's calm and confident expression, it seemed incomparably beautiful. In a live stream, there was still a lot of controversy about Xianxia. Are you kidding me? Why are you cooking at this time? Send the children home first. Is going home useful? Are they going to be sent to another aristocratic school by their parents to continue their transformation? Actually, I'm a little touched. Maybe humans are complicated creatures. Xianxia has a bad side, such as causing Dr. Xiang's hand to be injured. But she also has a good side, such as helping the kids from C7 and the boys' high school this time. Come on, it's just cooking, and you're trying to clear your name? Did you forget how disgusting that B*TCH Xiang was in the video? I'm new here. I don't understand what you guys are arguing about. I just want to say that I'm F*King hungry from watching this lady cook with a shovel. In the school cafeteria, everyone had a big pot. The pot was big, and the shovel was also big. Basically, they used a shovel as a shovel. The shovel was heavy, and the ingredients were in a big pot. Even an adult would find it hard to control such a dish well. Some irresponsible chefs would be too lazy to cook. They would just add water and boil it before sprinkling some seasoning on it. At most, it could be considered cooked. It could be said that it was difficult to swallow. However, Xianxia was seriously frying every dish in the pot. Her clean and milky white little face was covered in fine sweat. She didn't say a word and finished cooking 6 pots of dishes. At this time, the rice was ready. Let's get some food for the children first. I'll make seaweed and egg soup, Xianxia said to Ronghua, who had been watching for a long time. The corners of the thorny little wolf cub's mouth twitched. You want me to get food for them? Xianxia didn't say anything and just stared straight at him. 1 second, 2 seconds. Ronghua couldn't take it anymore. He looked away and whispered in a low voice. F***CK. Don't look at me like that. I get shy too. Chapter 206. Students from all over the school gathered in the cafeteria one after another. If it were any other school, it would be extremely noisy with hundreds of boys gathered together. But here no one made a sound, and it was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. No one spoke, and no one had any expression. They were all numb, mechanical, and zombie-like. It was unimaginably oppressive. They didn't even dare to imagine what kind of means the culprit had used to make them so obedient. However, when the window was opened, the rich aroma of food filled the air. Following their bodily functions, they subconsciously chased after the source of the aroma. Plate after plate of piping hot food was pushed out. Vegetarian 3 delicacies, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, stewed beef with potatoes, grilled eggplant with sliced meat, vinegar cabbage, fried pork liver with cucumber. They were all very common cafeteria dishes, but they exuded a rare, domineering aroma. The most intuitive feeling was that they were hungry. The demon-like cooks had disappeared and were replaced by Ronghua and a few of his close friends. The young man knocked the bowl with a spoon uncomfortably and said arrogantly, "It's time to eat. Get your own plates and line up." No one dared to move, for fear that it was a dream. The group of children stared at the food eagerly, looking like they wanted to eat but didn't dare to. They were like stray puppies who only dared to hide in dark and dirty corners and didn't even dare to approach the trash can. In the live stream, I'm getting old and I can't watch this anymore. I'm in tears. Hurry up and eat. Everyone has to eat 2 more bowls. Okay. They've trained people to be more obedient than dogs. Their goal has been achieved. It's their victory, but it's the children's sorrow. Finally, someone was really craving for food and slowly took the first step to the window of the cafeteria. Ronghua subconsciously tightened his grip on his spoon, feeling like the protagonist of a comic who had been given the important mission of saving the world. Which dish do you want to eat? His tone was fierce, but he was very generous with the rice. He scooped a large spoonful of each dish for fear that the person who got the food wouldn't be full. After the first person, there was a second one. The line formed a long queue. The first child who got the food carefully stuffed it into his mouth, and his eyes instantly widened. Cooked, and very tasty smell. He was stunned for more than 10 seconds before burying his head into the rice. As he ate, tears began to fall. More and more children joined in the food-eating camp. Everyone ate with great relish, as if this was some kind of precious delicacy in the world. At first, Li Jinyu was a little puzzled. He tasted the food. Although Sister Yi's cooking was good, there was not much room for her to show off. To be honest, the taste of these dishes was far worse than what she usually cooked. Xianxia saw his doubts. He pushed his silver-rimmed glasses and said in a low voice, "The best seasoning in the world is hunger." In an instant, Li Jinyu suddenly understood why Xianxia wanted to cook for these children. Because he was really, really hungry. He turned his face away and blew his nose vigorously. F***CK, these scumbags. After scooping the last bowl of soup, Ronghua was so tired that he almost couldn't lift his arms. However, when he saw Xianxia coming over, he immediately straightened his back and pretended to be cool and aloof. In the next second, a fragrant meat bun was stuffed into his mouth, accompanied by a quiet and gentle voice. Let's go eat. Chapter 207. Ronghuai was stunned for a moment before he mumbled, "Do you think I'll eat it just because you asked me to?" He subconsciously chewed on it. Xianxia smirked and said, "Spit it out, then." Ronghuai turned around and said, "No. Oomph. Oh, it smells so good. It smells so good. It smells so good." Pretty sister's culinary skills are amazing. Xianxia found a corner to sit down and rubbed her sore wrists. She was tired too, but she didn't want to express it. A tall figure suddenly appeared beside her. Xianxia turned around to see that it was Shui. He was on the phone with someone. "Okay, send me a digital copy of the contract when settled." After hanging up, the man took out a packet of portable ointment. It was a small piece that was about the size of 2 Band-Aids put together. "Does your hand hurt?" "It's all right." As soon as Xianxia finished speaking, the man gently pulled her hand into his palm. It was clean and warm to the touch. She curled her slender fingers uncomfortably and wanted to retract them, but Shui grabbed her wrist. "Don't move." Subconsciously, Xianxia stopped what she was doing. Rip, Shui tore off the ointment and carefully applied it to the girl's wrists. Xianxia moved her cherry lips and said, "Actually, it doesn't hurt that much. You're still trying to be brave?" Shui's dark eyes landed on her face. He sighed helplessly and said, Xianxia thought that he would scold her, but she didn't get the chance to do so. Instead, he rubbed her head forcefully twice. "Why are you so nice?" he asked. So nice that it made his heart ache. Xianxia whispered, "You made my hair bun collapse." Shui couldn't help but laugh. "What should I do? I don't know how to tie my hair. Should I call your second brother for help?" "Don't." How would she dare to trouble her second brother for such a thing? While they were talking, Xianxia happened to pass by. Shui waved at him and explained the situation. Then, the knowledgeable medical doctor looked at his sister's bun that had collapsed and fell into a long silence. Xianxia pondered for a while and suggested sincerely, "Have you ever thought of cutting your hair short?" Shui sneered. "You don't know how?" Xianxia sneered. "You know how to do it?" Of course they wouldn't. The 2 men, who didn't know how to tie their hair, childishly hurt each other. Xianxia said, "I'll do it myself. Don't worry, I'll find a tutorial to learn." Shui calmly took out her phone and searched for videos. Xianxia raised his eyebrows. In terms of learning ability, would he lose to Shui? The 2 men were engrossed in the hair-tying tutorial, unable to extricate themselves. A moment later. Thank you, big sister, for cooking for us." A tall and thin boy looked at his toes and thanked her shyly. Xianxia recognized him. "It's you." It was the boy who went up to the rooftop. The boy said embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. The teachers were right. I'm a useless and cowardly piece of trash." "No." Xianxi's tone was firm. "You're not a piece of trash. You're not useless. You might not even know what your talent is. You might not even know what your hobbies are. You might become a super powerful person in the future or develop a strong interest in a certain field. You're still very young, and there are endless possibilities. There are too many beautiful things in this world that you haven't had the time to experience. Life is long, and the pain you're going through now is just a short period of time in your life. Life is irreversible. It's irreversible. So no matter how difficult it is, you have to live on and live on peacefully. You're an independent individual. You are yourself and the meaning of your existence." Chapter 208. The boy listened quietly, and his dark eyes lit up. His family would only say, "We're doing this for your own good. We've sacrificed so much for you, yet you're letting us down. Are you worthy of us?" He had apologized countless times and even hated himself for it. He hated himself for not being a smart child, for not having a lively personality, and for not having a good EQ. Coming to Mingxi Boys High School was the beginning of hell. His body, personality, dignity, privacy, everything could be trampled underfoot. Trash, trash, coward, useless. These insulting words would be heard all the time. "However," she said, "you're important. You have to live well. Your existence is meaningful." The boy couldn't help but sob. Seemingly panicking over his loss of composure, he rubbed his eyes with his hands, trying to hold back his tears, not daring to make a single sound. However, for some reason, the more he wiped, the more his tears fell. A teenage boy crying like this should have been a ridiculous scene, but at this moment, it somehow seemed sad and pitiful. Xianxia was silent. In fact, he didn't quite understand human emotions. When it came to rationality and sensibility, rationality would always prevail. However, Xianxia knew that his sister couldn't stand such things. She might seem distant, but she had a soft heart. He silently handed his sister a clean handkerchief. Xianxia froze for a moment before taking it. There seemed to be an invisible tacit understanding between the siblings. Even without words, they understood each other's feelings. Her brother wanted her to comfort others. Xianxia got up and gently patted the boy on the back. She said gently, "It's okay, you can cry." The boy couldn't hold it in any longer and burst into tears. It was as if he had been venting his emotions for a long time. It was more like he was relieved of a heavy burden. He covered his face with the handkerchief and cried his heart out. The camera captured this scene from afar. Although the guests had turned off their microphones and couldn't hear clearly, their body movements had the function of conveying words. It was the most primitive and direct expression of emotions. "Damn it, something went into my eyes, Sai, it'll be fine if you just cry it out. You don't even dare to cry. It's so sad. How should I put it? The vase fairy may have a lot of bad points, but she also has a good side. When she's gentle, she can be quite piercing." Seeing that Xianxia was coaxing the boy, Ronghuai, who was not far away, gnawed on his sixth bun. "It's amazing that you can cry. When he was in kindergarten, he cried very fiercely and would even roll on the ground." Suddenly, there was movement at the door. There were cries, shouts, and hurried footsteps. It was his parents who had rushed over after hearing the news. Some parents who didn't know what was going on hugged their children, and the whole family burst into tears. They had only heard that the management here was strict, so they had spent a lot of money to send their children here. After the children had been brainwashed, they did not dare to say anything at home, so they did not know that the children had suffered so much. There were also parents who anxiously asked the police of the scene, "Why did they close such a good school? Where are our children going if they're locked up? Did you misunderstand? The principal and the teachers are doing this for the good of the children. Do you know that there is severe corporal punishment in this school? But our children's grades have improved and they've become obedient. If you close the school, what if they become rebellious again?" Chapter 209. You can't just find fault with the child. Parents have the responsibility to educate him too. We're so busy. How can we have the time to teach him? Please, don't close the school. Upon hearing their conversation, Ronghuai's eyes were full of disgust, and he was so angry that he ate another bun. What an annoying adult. However, he habitually looked around, only to find that his parents were nowhere to be seen. He paused in his chewing and returned to being a frivolous prick. "It's all right. I don't need my parents that much anyway." The young man slowly ate one bun after another, as if he could feel the disappointment in his heart as long as he ate enough. A sharp-eyed parent saw Xianxia and stepped forward to criticize her. "Who told you to be a busybody? Do you think you're a judge who brought the production team here to uphold justice? Let me tell you, we don't need it all. Now that the school is going to be closed, how are you going to compensate us for our losses?" Xianxia remained calm and waited for the other party to finish throwing a tantrum before saying leisurely, "I forgot to tell you that this program is a live stream." She shrieked and cursed. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" The cameraman, old Zhang, deliberately moved the camera forward, scaring the other party so much that she quickly covered her face with her jacket. Old Zhang was speechless. "You're so shameless, huh? I thought you weren't human. When it comes to sarcasm, you're still the boss." Sure Sui answered the phone, and after hanging up, he slowly adjusted his cuffs and asked Xianxia in a languid tone, "Do you still like a place to farm?" "Huh. I happen to have some spare cash, so I bought the land of this school." Sure Sui glanced at the parents and said, "Since the school is mine, why don't you plow it and plant vegetables there? Or raise pigs?" The black pig meat from last time was quite fragrant. Xianxia was speechless. Buy land to plant vegetables? Raise pigs? She thought about it for 2 seconds and actually felt quite happy about it. Why don't we build a little rabbit farm here? Xianxia said gently. I'll contact the Research Institute and set up an experimental field for the newly cultivated Chinese medicine seeds here. With the endorsement of the Research Institute, this school could forget about opening. Xianxia's eyes lit up, as expected of her brother. Amazing. The parent who was covering his face with his coat was dumbfounded. Buying land and collaborating with a research institute. Who on earth were these people? Those suspected of corporal punishment were all taken away for investigation. The students gathered at the school gate and watched as the school gate slowly closed. However, the expressions of many people were still incomparably ugly. They were worried that the gate would reopen one day. Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from afar. It was unknown who had shouted, F***CK, but in an instant, it became a series of exclamations. Construction trucks, demolition machines, excavators. Countless vehicles drove over and honked their horns. Doo-doo. At the front of the excavator, Si Chuanbai, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, was expressionless. He looked like his heart was as still as water. Shui noticed him and smiled at him with her arms crossed. Si Chuanbai was speechless. He was a dignified manager. Not only was he ordered to buy land, but he also had to rent an excavator. It was too difficult. It was too difficult for him. Sheng Guang also drove over with his wife, Xianxia. The two of them were carrying a plaque that had just been written. The elegant and unrestrained semi-cursive handwriting was written, Little Rabbit Farm 2. Chapter 210. In a live stream. This is so exciting. F***CK. Are they going to flatten the school? I've been holding in for a long time, but I still can't help but cry. I just want to say that Sister E is awesome. Sure Sui is awesome. 2 Under One Roof is awesome. There were no insults in the pop-up comments at this moment, only support. When the first excavator knocked down the school wall, a loud noise suddenly broke out in the dusty scene. Cheers, roars, and applause formed a rhythm that made one's blood boil. Rong Huai had one hand in his pocket, and a smile slowly formed on his well-defined side profile. You guys were there to steal on purpose, weren't you? The girl's sweet and soft voice sounded. Rong Huai's body stiffened, and he pinched his ear uncomfortably. I'm not the kind of person to meddle in other people's business, the young man said stubbornly. Xianxia glanced at him and said, stealing, live streaming, blowing things up, calling the police, and exposing them. That's your plan, right? Rong Huai's expression stiffened. How did she manage to guess the brilliant idea that the few of them had spent so much effort to come up with? The young man kicked a stone on the side of the road and said awkwardly, Are you trying to say that this plan is very childish? Well, we want to be more mature too. However, they didn't know what to do. This was already the best plan they could come up with. When they learned that there was a live stream variety show in the manor, they had never even watched it before, nor did they understand the influence of 2 Under One Roof. They rushed in recklessly without hesitation, not daring to cause too much damage. They even took a long time to mentally prepare themselves for the consequences of stealing a few eggs. After waiting for a few seconds, Rong Huai couldn't help but sneak a glance at her when she didn't answer. The girl's eyes met his, and her beautiful eyes curved into crescent moons. You guys did a good job. Thump, thump, thump. She's praising me. His heartbeat sped up like a drum. If there was a deer in his heart, he would have probably gotten a concussion. Rong Huai moved to her side, arched his thin back, and coughed twice. Come on. Rong Huai saw the look of confusion on her face and said angrily, That. His voice became softer and softer. You even patted that idiot's back. Why didn't you pat me? In the next second, the girl stood on her tiptoes and used her soft and fair hands to rub his head a few times, just like how Shui coaxed her. Rong Huai was dumbfounded. Being touched on the head, his heart was like fireworks, but he said proudly, You're so short. You have to stand on your tiptoes to touch my head. Xianxia pursed her lips. Your hair is so prickly like a porcupine. The young man's hair stood on end. What do you know? This is my hedgehog hairstyle. All right. At this time, Shengguang and Xianxia came over with the process plaque. A slender wooden board was nailed onto the plaque. Xianxia said, "Little Xiangyi, this is your farm. You should be the one to build it." Everyone turned to look at Xiangyi. Not far away, machines roared and buildings collapsed, causing dust to fly everywhere. It was like the ruins in a doomsday movie. The shadows of the trees swayed and cast a large shadow. The girl happened to be standing at the boundary between darkness and light, her gaze calm and gentle. At that moment, a sentence suddenly popped up in Ronghuai's mind. Everything has cracks, and she is the source of light. Chapter 211. Xiangyi blinked and said graciously, "Okay." She took the simple plaque from Jianshue's hands. Her melancholy dissipated a little, and the haters in the live stream immediately appeared again. "Are you kidding me? What's the point of doing this? Hurry up and punish the bad guys. Also, think about what to do with these students in the future. Why are you still so particular about rituals at a time like this? Shengguang really looks like a poor scholar. He might as well donate some money to the children instead of writing this." Ronghuai was thinking about helping Xiangyi dig a hole with a shovel, but before he could do so, he saw the girl pick a piece of soft soil and insert the plaque into the ground. She inserted it. "Ronghuai, the netizens in the live stream. Although it's a muddy ground, how much strength do you have, little sister? From now on, this is no longer Ming Shi Boys High School." Xiangyi smiled at the children in the crowd. "It's Little Rabbit Farm number 2. Some people in the crowd burst into tears while others cheered. All the children, regardless of whether they were happy or sad, finally had expressions on their faces. They were no longer zombie-like walking corpses. In the live stream, the haters were all rebuked. Xiangyi and Shui are not the police. How do you expect them to punish them? Some people are just holding onto their keyboards and blabbering. What else can they do? Did you cook at the scene? Did you shovel the school? If you didn't do anything, then shut up." Ritual is never a derogatory term. It's the most direct way for people to express their inner feelings. For children, the most important thing is not the closure of the school, but the reconstruction of their psychological beliefs. To a certain extent, Xiangyi's insertion of the Little Rabbit Farm plaque is a declaration of the end of these children's purgatory lives. It's equivalent to giving those who are bent on death a desire to live. This has a very positive meaning. The experts would be in charge of the follow-up work. Under everyone's gazes, Xiangyi calmly got on the tractor. Shui and Xiang Li, who were as tall as male models, squeezed in beside her again. The girl protested softly. "You can sit in the back too," Shui said calmly. "Your tractor doesn't even have a rear-view mirror. I'll help you watch the road." Xiang Li scoffed. "You're trying to curry favor for no reason." Seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel, Xiangyi had no choice but to mediate. All right, let's go." "Hey," Rong Huayang raised his voice. You're leaving just like that? Aren't you going to say anything?" The staff of the program team were also looking forward to seeing what words Xiangyi would say to encourage the healing process. The girl pursed her lips and threw down a particularly ordinary sentence. "No matter what happens, you have to eat well." After saying that, he started the tractor and left. Everyone, "That's it? Gone?" Someone shouted. Big Sister's words have a deeper meaning. Only when one is full will the body have strength, the brain will be able to think, and the heart will have the will to resist. This way, no matter what difficulties we encounter, we will be able to overcome them. Godly comment in the live stream. Is that you, Chinese class representative? However, this interpretation undoubtedly lifted the spirits of the children. The haze over everyone's heads was dissipating bit by bit. Back at the manor, Xiangyi was worried that Xiao Naofu would be hungry and was about to make cat food for it when she heard Xiang Li suddenly say, "Tutu, my hand hurts." Hearing this, Shui raised her long eyebrows. Chapter 212. Hearing her brother say that his hand hurt, Xiangyi was extremely nervous. "How much does it hurt? Let me take a look." She held her brother's hand and examined it carefully. The comments in the live stream were extremely heated. B***** Xiang, let go of our Dr. Gij's hand. You're the culprit who injured Dr. Xiang's hand. Why are you pretending to be kind? Was he good drugged by her? Why is he calling her Tutu so intimately? Does she deserve it? Li Ji's hand was slender and well-defined. His skin was so fair that it was almost translucent. There were no external injuries on his hand. Xianxia pressed a few acupuncture points and asked him how he felt. Xianxia said calmly, "It doesn't hurt that much. Maybe I'm just too tired. Then sit here and rest for a while. I'll bring the medicinal cuisine over. I'll give you a massage later." Xianxia hurried over and personally brought the medicinal cuisine to him. Xianxia scooped up the soup with his right hand. With a loud clang, the spoon hit the edge of the bowl. Xianxia's heart clenched, and she bit her lower lip worriedly. "My brother's hand, is that injured?" I'll feed you?" she asked carefully. Xianxia's eyelids drooped, and the red mole at the end of his eye was faintly discernible. "It's okay. I'll just switch to my left hand." It could be said that he was a vivid portrayal of weakness and stubbornness. It was heartbreaking. Shui was speechless. "Fine. I'm impressed by his acting skills." Xianxia watched him eat the medicinal cuisine. She wiped his hand with a warm towel and gently massaged his wrist. Her technique was professional, and she used just the right amount of strength. Xianxia squinted his slender eyes in comfort. Xianxia massaged him for more than 10 minutes. "Are you feeling better?" she asked. "I'm fine." Xianxia's lips curled into a bitter smile. "I'm used to it." Xianxia was even sadder. She swore in her heart that she would definitely cure her brother's hand. Suddenly, Xiao Naofu, who felt left out, came to protest. It jumped into Xianxia's arms and patted her shoulder with its pink and white paws, as if accusing her of being a scumbag. "Meow, meow, meow," the baby tiger roared. Xianxia said apologetically, "Wait a moment, I'll cook for you." Xiao Naofu rubbed against her collarbone, aggrieved. "Meow, meow, Shui. Very good. Even this stupid cat came to join in the fun." Xianxia went to the kitchen. Xianxia raised his hand and scooped up Xiao Naofu onto his lap. The white kitten was a tiny ball about the size of his palm. Xiao Naofu, who still didn't know much about its second brother, turned over innocently, revealing its little belly. It flicked its tail twice, waiting for this cultured and refined man to serve it. Unexpectedly, a dark light flashed behind the man's silver-rimmed glasses. "Male? If it's a little older, I'll send it for sterilization." Xiao Naofu. For once, Shui agreed with him. "Let's pick an auspicious day." Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled up, its cat eyes tearing up. "Ooh, these two men are so scary." Xianxia glanced at the luxurious 3-story cat villa not far away and frowned. "Extravagant and wasteful. A kitten sleeping in a shoe box will do." Shui, a delivery box will do too." The audience in the live stream almost died laughing. Why won't these two men even let the cat off? Xiao Naofu in front of Xianxia, showing off. Xiao Naofu after Xianxia left, pitiful and cowardly. Movie King X, Dr. X kitten, rounding them up, they're a family of 3. This cult's CP has hit the jackpot. Chapter 213. Just then, Xianxia came out of the kitchen with a bowl of cat food. Xiao Naofu looked as if it had seen its savior. It bounced over and hugged the girl's slender ankles. "What's wrong, Xiao Naofu?" Xianxia bent down and pinched its little ears. Xiao Naofu cupped her hand, not daring to meow. "Rub its head. Eat your food." Xianxia placed the bowl in front of the cat and coaxed it gently. Xiao Naofu turned its grief into appetite and buried its head into the chicken and pumpkin rice. Xianxia looked at the two men on the sofa and asked uncertainly, "Did you two bully Xiao Naofu?" Although she felt that Shui and her brother were not childish people, Xiao Naofu looked too pitiful. Shui looked calm. Do I look like someone who would bully a kitten in your eyes?" The man's rhetorical question stumped Xianxia. The girl struggled for a long time, hesitated, and shook her head. Xiao Naofu looked up from the bowl, its eyes wide open. "Damn it, you should do something that has to do with humans." Xianxia's expression did not change as he quietly looked at his sister. Xianxia swayed again. She scratched Xiao Naofu's chin and whispered, "Second brother is a genius. He wouldn't do such a boring thing. You have to be more obedient in the future." Xiao Naofu's face was full of shock. Does this Huhu still have a place in this stupid woman's heart? These two dogmen are acting as me. Xiao Naofu angrily pointed its butt at Xiangyi and lowered its head to continue eating. In this year's competition, Shuringdi and Baikihai each got 1 point. However, the two men were soon unhappy. After Xiangyi fed Xiao Naofu the cat food, she began to comb its fur, feed it nutrition cream, put on eardrops, and brush its teeth. What did it mean to receive special favor? This was it. The two men's faint gazes were about to dig a hole in Xiao and Naofu's body. Xiang then accompanied Xiao Naofu to play with the cat stick and pinball for a while before giving it a kiss and carrying it to the cat hammock to lie down. Xiao Naofu turned around, still sulking at her. Xiangyi was puzzled and was about to shake the hammock again when she heard her second brother call out to her. Tutu, my hand hurts again. Huh? Why so often? Shall I take your pulse? Okay. Because it was related to her brother's hand, the young lady took his pulse very seriously. After a few minutes, she moved her fingertips away. It's more serious than she thought. If she had been in her past self before she transmigrated. But now, she was confident that she could be cured. Do you want to try acupuncture? Conservatively speaking, his condition should improve a lot after a few acupuncture sessions. In the live stream, the netizens once again exploded. You just want to cripple Dr. Xiang? Evil spirit, stay away from Dr. Gidge. If you touch him, I'll feel like you've tarnished the untouchable flower. You think it'll get better just because you say so? What if it fails? Who's going to take responsibility? While the comment section was being heated, the girl said seriously, I can write down a plan and you can show it to the other doctors. If it's feasible, you can get someone else to perform acupuncture for you. It wasn't that she didn't have the ability to perform acupuncture on Xiang Li, but she was afraid that her brother wouldn't believe her. The netizens? Xiang Li suddenly smiled, revealing the red mole at the corner of his eye. He reached out his hand, the light blue veins on his fair wrist particularly obvious. His voice was gentle and clear. You can do it. My tutu is trustworthy. Chapter 214. At that moment, Xiangyi thought that she was hallucinating. The girl looked up blankly and didn't respond for a long time. Tutu, you're already 20 years old. Why are you still so silly? Xiang Li's tone sounded helpless, but it was more like he was doting on her. What are you waiting for? I'm giving you a chance to bully me, aren't you? When she was a child, apart from her brother whom she didn't dare to provoke, her younger siblings and uncles had all been bullied by Xiang Li. Xiangyi finally reacted. She took a deep breath and said sincerely, I will definitely do my best. When the girl went to get the acupuncture tools, the comments in the live stream went viral. I was just being polite and you took it seriously? Don't you know what kind of medical skills you have? It's one thing to treat a fever and set a bone, but this is an injury to the nerves. If Western medicine could treat it, it would have been treated long ago. Do you think it's your turn? I'm convinced. Are these men creatures who think with their lower bodies? Why do they seem so mesmerized when they see the vase fairy? I'm so angry. Dr. Gidge is a national treasure in scientific research. Doesn't he have any bodyguard around to take down *TCH Xiang? If she keeps messing around, Dr. Gidge's hand will never be able to recover. In fact, there were indeed Special Forces soldiers protecting Xiang Li in the dark. However, Xiang Li had always been assertive and no one dared to disobey him. Hence, they had no choice but to report it to their superiors. Soon, Xiang Li received a call. His expression was calm, as usual. Yes, I believe in her. She will never hurt me. I will bear all the consequences alone. Don't implicate her. Hearing his words, the netizens in the live stream became even more confused. Dr. Gidge, what kind of memory do you have? Have you forgotten that she was the one who caused your injury? This involved a blind spot in my knowledge. So what's going on? Could there be something else going on? What's going on? The video is real. The person climbing the rock is indeed the vase fairy. Fans, don't watch it. It's awkward. I'm not anyone's fan, but I should be considered the oldest in this live stream. To be fair, even if Xiangyi really harmed Xiang Li, none of us have the right to forgive her on his behalf. But as long as he doesn't mind, no one else has the right to judge him. Everyone was arguing on the internet. In reality, Xianxia brought a medicine box over. She slowly disinfected the gold needles with an unprecedentedly solemn expression. People who were serious were always exceptionally charming. Many people in front of their screens were affected, and the live stream stopped for a while. I'm a little scared now. Xianxia looked at his sister innocently. Can you coax me? Shui was speechless. A person who dared to dissect a rabbit calmly at the age of 7 was now saying that he was scared. Only a fool would believe that. Xianxia bit her lip. In fact, she was not very good at coaxing people. Other than making delicious food, all she could do was give out sweets. But there wasn't enough time to cook now, and second brother didn't like sweet things. She was a little anxious and subconsciously blurted out, "Gidge, can you be scared later?" The staff at the scene broke out in cold sweat. Sister E, we've only heard of eating later, but we've never heard of being scared later. Unexpectedly, Xianxia's eyebrows relaxed into a smile. The gentle and refined man was obedient and cooperative. Okay, I'll try my best to wait. Everyone was speechless. Is it even possible? Xianxia's face tensed up. Okay, I'm going to start then. Whoosh! The first needle accurately landed on the acupoint. Chapter 2:15. Then, the second and third needles, depending on the acupoints, the depth of the needles varied. Some were quick, some were twisted, and some were flicked. Xianxia was fully focused and deliberately slowed down. However, in the eyes of ordinary people, she was still too fast. Some netizens in the live stream began treating Xianxia from afar. How can anyone remove acupoints so quickly? You should at least find the right acupoint before inserting the needle. Wow, has this female star Xianxia watched too many TV dramas? And she's watching it on 2x speed? How can acupuncture be done so quickly in real life? I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. What kind of acupoints did she choose? She's just trying to be fast. She's obviously showing off. Anyway, I've never seen a Chinese medicine master perform acupuncture like this. After the acupuncture was done, Xianxia's tense nerves finally relaxed a little. Shui handed her a tissue at the right time. She wiped her forehead with it, but the tissue was soon soaked. Xianxia asked her brother, "How do you feel?" Xianxia pondered for 2 seconds and said, "The area where you inserted the needle is warm, and some parts are even a little hot. Apart from that, there's no other discomfort." After he was injured, he visited famous doctors all over the country, and the country had also invited local medical masters to treat him. However, it was only a little hot at most. It had never been as hot as it was now. It's normal to feel hot. Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief. Since you don't feel dizzy, we'll leave the needle for 10 minutes. After the needle is removed, you should regain some feeling. Xianxia's eyes lit up. How confident are you? He had never regretted saving his sister because although the core was not hers, the body was hers. However, it would be a lie to say that he had no regrets. Xianxia was such a proud person, yet he had become half-crippled in the field he was best at. He would also feel defeated and powerless. But now, he actually said that he could regain feeling in his hand. Even if it was just a little, he would be satisfied. Xianxia looked at him in confusion. Since I'm treating you, I'm 100% confident. She thought that her brother was disappointed because he could not fully recover. So she explained in a gentle voice, "Don't worry. Although you can only recover a little at a time, I promise that with the help of the prescription and moxibustion, your hand will be cured within 5 times. Let your senses completely recover." The girl's confident appearance seemed to glow. Xianxia stared at her. After a long while, he slowly exhaled. "Okay, I will definitely cooperate with our tutu." The seemingly calm, young doctor's heart was surging with waves. His hand could be healed. It wasn't a possibility, it was possible. He might have doubted the assurances of others. However, he believed his sister's words unconditionally. Little did she know that Xianxia's words were too absolute, causing the netizens to be dissatisfied once again. The blogger who first revealed that Xianxia was injured was furious and posted another long post, frowny face, new baldy PhD. "I thought Xianxia V, you were just young and ignorant. I didn't expect you to be so vicious. Do you know how desperate Dr. X has been this year? He handed over his most prized research to someone else, not because he didn't want to continue, but because he couldn't do any more experiments. That was research that could win the Nobel Prize in medicine. He had given it to someone else just like that. What about you? His brain was stupid, his personality was selfish, and his medical skills were full of showmanship and exaggeration. Now, he actually dared to say that he could definitely cure Dr. X. What do you think of the intelligence of a genius? What do you think of the efforts of the famous doctors in the country this year? It's not enough that you hurt Dr. X's body. Now you want to destroy his will. Your actions are despicable. Your intentions are damning. Chapter 216. As soon as this Weibo post was posted, it caused a heated discussion. Well said. No wonder she's a PhD student. Being cultured is different. I only know how to call her an idiot. Oh my God, is the vase fairy lying to Dr. Xiang? How could she do that? I'm going to cry again. Dr. Xiang trusts her so much. If he finds out that he was lied to, he'll be so upset. The netizens who were watching the show reposted, commented, and liked the post, sending it to the hot search list. Many people even tagged the big shots in the scientific research circle, hoping that they would come forward and say something. However, the strange thing was that none of the big shots spoke up. Some anti-fans took a different approach and tagged the Wuxia Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. They said passionately, shouldn't the traditional Chinese medicine practitioner's license be revoked? Buzz. A notification popped up on the screen. The anti-fans clicked on it and realized that it was a reply from the Wuxia Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. Hello. May I ask who this genius doctor is? Where can I find her? I'm willing to reward you handsomely. The anti-fans were dumbfounded. What the hell? Official Weibo, have you been hacked? He hesitated for a moment before typing. You don't have to thank me. She's a regular guest on a very popular live variety show called The Vase Fairy. After sending it out, he felt that something was amiss. After reading it several times, he finally reacted and hurriedly sent another message. Ahem, I'm sorry, I got used calling her that. I almost thought that her surname was Vase. Her name is Xianxia, and her Weibo username is Xianxia. A moment later, many traditional Chinese medicine masters in the country received a call from the president of the Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. An emergency online meeting was called. More than 10 minutes later, dozens of traditional Chinese medicine masters gathered in the online conference room of a certain software company. Every one of them was a big shot who could be called a divine doctor. The person who presided over the meeting was the president himself. He was already in his twilight years and had deep wrinkles on his face. He was hale and hearty, and his hair was black and lush. Many of the masters even secretly discussed whether the president wore a wig or used hair dye behind his back. I called this meeting mainly to show everyone this video. The president made a gesture, and a young boy beside him played the video for him. His excited voice could still be heard. Grandpa, I confirm that this video is real. This young divine doctor is only 20 years old. Little miracle doctor? How could a 20-year-old be called a divine doctor? Many of the masters muttered in their hearts. When they were 20 years old, they were still being lectured by their masters at this moment. The video was shared to everyone's screen. Everyone casually glanced at it, and their attention was instantly attracted. The girl in the video was calm and indifferent. She seemed to have the help of the gods when she inserted the needles. She removed the acupoints, inserted the needles, operated the needles, retained the needles, and removed the needles. Every step was done by her. In the eyes of a layman, it was as if she was moving at twice the speed. But in the eyes of these masters of the apricot world, he was a genius. 10 minutes later, when the video ended, many people realized that they were holding their breaths unconsciously. Who is this little divine doctor's master? Where do you live? Someone couldn't hold back and took the lead to ask. This immediately caused the crowd to be dissatisfied. Old Sue, are you trying to poach people in front of me? Do you think the little divine doctor will take a fancy to your shabby clinic? Why don't you come to me and take me as your teacher? My hospital is big. All of you are ugly, but dream on. Let me put it this way. Where does the little divine doctor live? I'll go to her house and accept her as my disciple. Chapter 217. Just as everyone was discussing excitedly, a voice suddenly rang out. Elder Jing, who was known as the poison doctor, sneered. Taking a disciple? You want to take her in, but does she want to? Her acupuncture skills are enough to be a master for many of you. The conference room fell into an eerie silence. Elder Jing was good at fighting poison with poison. However, his reputation as the poison doctor was spread because of his sharp tongue. Because of his eccentric personality and sharp tongue, he had offended many patients from rich and powerful families. There was a moment of silence. Elder Yun, who was good at food therapy, said gently, "The young lady's acupuncture skills are superb, but I can teach her food therapy." Elder Yun was very popular. As soon as he spoke, someone immediately agreed. Yes, yes, yes. I'm also very good at massaging. I can teach her. When it comes to cupping, if I claim to be second, who dares to claim to be first? The young lady's pulse reading is too slow. I'm afraid she's inexperienced. I can teach her how to look, listen, question, and feel the pulse. The conference room instantly became the time for the masters to show off. The president of the Chinese Medicine Association closed his eyes and rested. Now, the traditional Chinese medicine was strongly impacted by Western medicine. The number of young people who were willing to learn traditional Chinese medicine was far less than Western medicine. After a long time, it was too difficult to find a good seedling. Medicine was like any other discipline. It needed geniuses. The young lady in the video displayed such a high level of acupuncture skills at the age of 20. Without a doubt, she was a genius. If they could nurture her carefully and gather the strengths of various schools, it would be a great thing to revitalize the medical industry. Thinking of this, the president coughed a few times, and everyone immediately fell silent. My grandson said that she's recording a program. I'd like to invite a few of you to participate in her program and see if the young lady has any intention of becoming a disciple. Everyone instantly responded enthusiastically and expressed that they would choose them. At the Manor live broadcast site, Xianxia put away the needles and tidied up the needles. Xianxia tried to move his right hand, and a look of shock flashed past his eyes. He really could feel it. Originally, his hand could only do some simple actions, such as holding a book. But now, he felt that he could write and draw. Xianxia couldn't help but be moved. He muttered softly, "Our tutu is really amazing." The netizens in the live broadcast room were speechless. It can't be. It's really effective. Could it be that Xianxia wasn't messing around? Suddenly, there was movement at the door. A staff member came in and whispered a few words to Li Jianyu. A few seconds later, Li Jianyu said absent-mindedly, Sister E, please go to the door. The police are looking for you." The trolls started their business. "The police are here to arrest her." Haha, I love it. The next second, Li Jianyu's voice spread throughout the live stream. He said he's here to give you a silk banner. The haters. Xianxia went to the entrance of the manor in confusion. A white and blue police car was parked outside the black iron gate. When a uniformed policeman saw Xianxia, he saluted her and handed her a big red banner with a smile. There were a few big words written on it: frowny face, radiant angel, passionate citizen. "Thank you, Madam Xianxia. You have contributed greatly to our investigation of the Mingxi boys' high school case." Xianxia, other than the mobile little red flag she had when she was a student, she had never seen this before. "Thank you. This is what I should do." The netizens in the live broadcast room were dumbfounded. They had only seen citizens giving silk banners to the police. So it was the other way around. This was really too amazing. Chapter 218. There was an uproar in the live stream. Official acknowledgement. What the F***CK? This isn't a script, is it? She's just an ordinary, warm-hearted citizen. Putting everything else aside, Li Tao, rational discussion. What's the standard of a female celebrity in the entertainment industry to receive a silk banner from the police? At this moment, countless haters were staring blankly at their keyboards with blank looks on their faces. How is she being criticized? How is she being criticized? This female celebrity, Xianxia, is toxic. She's also a female celebrity, but she's either glamorous on the red carpet or taking street photos at the airport. Occasionally, there's even some love scandals. What about me? Gardening, cooking, catching pigs, Xianxia, traditional Chinese medicine. She drove a tractor to send a child to school and actually saved the child's life. Come to think of it, I actually have some charisma, with this silk banner representing official acknowledgement, coupled with the fact that the acupuncture she had given Xianxia was indeed effective. The comment section became much friendlier. Sob, sob, sob. I didn't dare to say anything, but I really couldn't take it anymore. Sister E is still a good child if she knows her mistakes and changes. E has indeed done something wrong, and we'll admit it even if you don't push us over the head. However, I hope you can see the good in her red heart. I'm really confused now. I feel like the current vase fairy is so different from before. It's like she's a completely different person. You're not the same person. I used to like watching the videos of Vase Fairy's variety shows edited by the Up in the Ghost section. She's a variety star and has participated in many shows, but she's really a black hole in variety shows. Not only is she awkward, she also likes to cry, put on airs, and act like a big shot. But now, she's a completely different person. I'm starting to wonder if she has a twin now. Xianxia returned to the living room with the silk banner. Sure Sui chuckled. Do you want me to hang it up for you? Xianxia was slightly embarrassed. No, let's put it away. I'll go check on Xiao. It's still ignoring me. Xianxia, who was sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window, flipped through the pages of the book on his lap with his pale fingers and said calmly, "Male creatures can't be spoiled. Once they're spoiled, they'll be spoiled." The words male creature had a double meaning. Sure Sui raised her eyebrows and looked at him from afar. Xianxia looked over. Their gazes met in the air. Invisible electric currents crackled and exploded as they clashed secretly. The girl suddenly snorted. Is Xiao a boy? Sure Sui, Xianxia. The two of them looked at Xianxia. The little girl was curiously lifting the kitten's furry tail. Suddenly, Sure Sui clasped her wrist, and she could feel the warmth of his fingers. It's not good for you to take advantage of Xiao like this, right? Xianxia explained in a low voice. No, I'm just curious. I want to see cough. Her milky white ears gradually turned red. She had never raised a cat, nor had she carefully studied Xiao's body. In addition, Xiao was her system when she was about to transmigrate, so its voice was a kind of androgynous mechanical voice. She had always assumed that Xiao was a girl. The corners of Sure Sui's lips curled up slightly, and her peach blossom eyes narrowed lazily. So straightforward. That's not good. Xiao also wants to save face. In a live stream. Am I the only one who thinks the wrong way? Shuring D is too flirtatious. He successfully made me blush in front of the screen. I'm louder than a screaming chicken. No one can cover my mouth. DBQ Mom, I didn't become a scientist, but I became an expert today. Sister's untimely occasion, I can. Chapter 219. The girl muttered weakly, but it doesn't have that what? Sure Sui smiled. She didn't know if he really didn't understand, or if he was deliberately teasing her. That one. The man's low laughter sounded in her ears. The two were so close that Xianxia could even feel the vibration of his chest. Her wrist seemed to be gently caressed, and an indescribable feeling of affection arose. She felt a slight itch. She felt restless. Sure Sui leaned over, turned off their microphones, and whispered a few words in her ear. Then, as he wished, he saw the redness on the little rabbit's ears became more prominent. Xianxia, so that's how it is. Xiao, who was on the hammock, licked its paws and glanced at Xianxia in disgust. Stupid woman. Not only could she not tell its gender, but she couldn't even tell how bad the two men in the room were. Especially Sure Sui, this stinky man. Even a dog isn't as good as him. A moment later, Sure Sui's voice was tinged with a low, husky smile. Do you understand? Xianxi's voice was like a mosquito as she replied. Uh-huh, not far away. Xianxia flipped through his book and said coldly, Do you think you can hold Tutu's hand just because you want to? He was plotting something. Did he think that he, Tutu's second brother, was dead? Only then did Xianxia realize that Sure Sui had been holding her wrist the whole time. As if she had been scalded, she pulled her hand away and said uncomfortably, I'm going to make a cake. Teacher Een and the other should be back soon. The girl fled into the kitchen. Shui looked at Xiang Li and mouthed a few words with his thin lips. His back was to the camera, so the audience in the live broadcast room couldn't see it. However, Xiang Li could read lips and easily recognize Shui's words. Don't be angry, second brother-in-law. In Nancheng, men would only call their wife's brother or uncle. Xiang Li secretly gritted his teeth. I treat you as my brother, but you want to hit on my sister? Dream on. The manor stretched to the green hills not far away. Sheng Guang accompanied his wife for a walk here. He took off his coat and put it on her. Madam, take a rest. The cameraman was filming silently. After returning from Mingxi Boys High School, Xianxia was not in a good state. She tightened her husband's coat and sighed. In life, things don't always go as one wishes. Some people can't get what they want, while others can't. I really feel sorry for those children. Xianxia actually liked children very much and had put in a lot of effort over the years. First, he sought medical help. Later, he even tried praying to God and Buddha, but she still couldn't get pregnant. If she had children, she would treat them like treasures. But how could the parents of those children at Mingxi Boys High School? Jiangxue closed her eyes and couldn't bear to continue thinking about it. Sheng Guang said gently, children are like fate. We can't force them. We just have to let nature take its course. Jiangxue's red lips moved slightly. Perhaps because the incident at Mingxi Boys High School was too emotional, she revealed her inner thoughts. Actually, I recently asked a master to prescribe me a prescription. It said that it can increase the chances of pregnancy, but it will be harmful to the body. I may not be able to act anymore. I want to give it a try, Sheng Guang objected. No, your health is the most important thing. The live broadcast room was suddenly filled with curses. Is Jiangxue out of her mind? Me? I really don't understand why women like her insist on having children. I'm vomiting. Boys are okay, but women are hopeless. The Qing dynasty has already fallen, and she still wants to carry on the family line for her husband? Chapter 220. Jiangxue smiled bitterly and said, I'm sorry, hubby. You didn't do anything wrong. Sheng Guang knew that although she looked carefree, she was actually very sensitive, especially since her previous marriage had hurt her too deeply. Our marriage is based on love and trust, not children. If we have children, we'll raise them together. If we don't, it's okay. When we're old and gray, we'll still be able to spend some quality time together. Jiangxue was amused by his words, and those sentimental and hesitant emotions also dissipated. She suddenly thought of something and said, I heard from Shui that little Xiangyi has medical skills. Why don't I ask her to take my pulse? Sheng Guang nodded and said, Okay, I'll accompany you. There is another round of mockery in the pop-up comments. Even if you're desperate, you don't have to be like this, do you? I'm dying of laughter. Vase Fairy can't treat any incurable disease, let alone infertility. The female star of the Xiang family is full of brainwashing aura. Anyone who comes within 3 meters of her will be 100% effective in the kitchen. Xiangyi put the chocolate mousse cake she had made into the refrigerator and waited for it to solidify before it was ready to eat. At the same time, there was a ding sound from the oven, indicating that the cupcakes she had made were ready. Xiangyi took out a plate and carefully decorated each with cream and cherries. She was done. She brought the cupcakes to the living room on a tray. Everyone else's cupcakes were of normal sweetness, while Xiangyi's had a low-sugar flavor. Xiangli took a sip, and a smile appeared on his face. As expected, Bunny still remembered his taste. Wow, little Xiangyi, you made a cake. Jiangxue, who had just returned from outside, saw the cake, and her eyes lit up. Ah, but I've been on a diet lately, Xiangyi said. Shall I make you a low-sugar one? Jiangxue waved her hand and said, No, I'll just take one bite. She picked up a cupcake and ate it. The fruit was fresh, the cream was dense, and the cake was sweet and fragrant. The combination was soft and delicate, yet it didn't lose its texture. It was delicious. Thus, one bite became many bites. She stuffed the dessert in her mouth and said vaguely, Little Xiangyi, you must be a professional dessert chef. As a chef, She naturally felt a sense of accomplishment when the food she made was like so much. Xianxia smiled and made a cup of black tea for her. The cake was slightly sweet, and the slightly strong black tea instantly highlighted the taste of the cake. The next second, Shang Guang's half-eaten cake was also snatched away by her. "Madam, don't you want to lose weight?" Shang Guang helplessly asked. "Sure. Lower your voice. Don't let my fat hear you. As long as I eat fast enough, the fat won't be able to catch up with me." Shang Guang. "Aha, Teacher Yin, you're definitely the king of two under one roof." Mr. Sheng's expression is so affectionate. He probably really likes Xianxia, who wouldn't love such a beautiful and interesting mama. Her acting skills are so good too. TSK. So what if she's outstanding? She's still a divorcee who can't even give birth. There's an idiot comment in front. I suggest everyone report it. After eating 3 cupcakes, Xianxia finally stopped. She brushed her hair and pretended that nothing had happened. Sheng Guang reminded her, "By the way, didn't you say that you wanted Miss Yang to take your pulse?" "Ah, yes." Xianxia looked at Xiangyi with anticipation in her eyes. "Little Xiangyi, can you take my pulse?" Chapter 221. Xiangyi said, "Of course. Are you feeling unwell?" Xianxia did not hesitate and said generously, "I want to ask if there's still a possibility of me getting pregnant." Xiangyi nodded slightly. "Please give me your left hand." Xianxia stretched out her hand and placed it in front of Xiangyi nervously. About 2 minutes later, the girl said gently, "Please give me your right hand." Pulse diagnosis was one of the looking, listening, asking, and feeling methods. It was said that a man's left hand was the woman's right hand, but in fact, it was more comprehensive and accurate to take the pulse of both hands. After taking the pulse, Xiangyi frowned slightly and did not speak for the time being. Seeing her reaction, Xianxia's heart skipped a beat. However, although she was disappointed, she still turned to Xiangyi. "I'm fine. You don't have to say anything to comfort me. I know I'm not fated to have children in this life." Shang Guang hugged her shoulders and patted her gently. Xiangyi looked up in surprise. "Miss Yin, you've misunderstood. I'm thinking about which prescription to choose." She had once traveled through a world. In order to help the female lead of that world ascend to the position of empress, Xianxia worked hard to study medicine and became the first female imperial physician. She was best at gynecology. However, if she was too good at it, it would also be troublesome. Just like how a straight-A student could write down the standard answer quickly, but sometimes a genius student would struggle with which one to write down. Xianxia was overjoyed. "Do you mean that I can still get pregnant?" "I'll give a try." Xiangyi gave the most conservative answer. "There's about a 90% chance, but you'll need to cooperate with me to nurse your body." 90%? Xianxia could not believe it. The doctor she had seen before all said that the chances were slim. The most optimistic one, which gave the greatest possibility, was only 10 to 20%. The girl took a pen and paper and wrote down the prescription. She folded it and handed it to her. "I'll prepare a medicinal diet and recipe for you later. If you're still worried, you can take the prescription to the experts. After confirming that there's no problem, you can take the prescription." Xianxia felt as if she had received a treasure and thanked her profusely. "Thank you. Thank you, little Xiangyi. I will definitely do as you say." Some of the viewers watching the live stream were genuinely happy for Xianxia, while others were jealous. "What kind of prescription is this? Is there only 4 words written on it? Drink more hot water? Vase Fairy, please go read some tactful chicken soup novels. You're always talking big. I can't stand it. First, you said that you can cure the doctor's older brother after 5 times. Now, you're saying that there's an 80% chance that you can make Mama Yin pregnant. You even confidently said that you'll show the prescription to an expert. Do you really think you're a miracle doctor?" No. She's not confident. She just knows that no one can argue with her. How could Dr. Xiang and Teacher Yin have anything to do with her after leaving the show? She did it on purpose because she felt that it wouldn't be good for them to fall out with her. TSK. It would be great if they could hire an expert to do it until now. They would definitely smash the Vase Fairy's face. As soon as this bullet screen floated past, Another staff member came in and whispered a few words to Li Jinyu in a hurry. This time, not only was Li Jinyu in a trance, he was also confused on the spot. It can't be right. It can't be right. The president of the Wuxia Chinese Medicine Association, along with several big shots of Chinese medicine, begged to appear on their variety show. The reason was his eyes focused on Xianxia. He swallowed his saliva and said into the microphone, Sister, someone is looking for you again. I think it's a few old grandpas. Chapter 222. At the entrance of the manor, Xianxia didn't know any of the old men in front of her. She politely greeted, Hello, Grandpa. Are you looking for me? That's right. The one who spoke was Elder Fong, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association. He said calmly, Here's the thing. We want to use your show to popularize medical knowledge to the public and promote traditional Chinese medicine culture. Is it convenient for you? Xianxia looked at Li Jinyu and said, Director Li, of course. It's our honor. Li Jinyu, who was behind the camera, said while wiping his sweat profusely. He knew the identities of the three big shots. Elder Fong, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, Elder Yun, the heir of Huichun Hall Medical Hall, Elder Jing, the chief master of Jishir Hall Medical Hall. If the three of them were to appear in Xianxia novels, they would definitely be the immortals hidden in the protagonist's ring. It was no exaggeration to say that they were medical experts that many rich and powerful families couldn't afford to hire. Yet, they were now going to appear on Two Under One Roof, an online live variety show to spread medical knowledge. How was this using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken? This was simply using a green dragon crescent blade studded with gems. This way, please. Xianxia led the way in front and couldn't help but take a few more glances at Elder Yun. Elder Yun had a mild temper, and he said with a smile, Young lady, do you find me familiar? Xianxia nodded and said, Grandpa, there seems to be a photo of you in the guide to traditional Chinese medicine cuisine. Oh, you've actually read the book I wrote? Elder Yun's eyes lit up with joy. Are you interested in diet therapy? At the mention of the past, the young lady was a little embarrassed. Actually, I read it as a recipe book. At that time, I was just learning medicine from my grandfather. Every day, I was either memorizing the names of herbs or prescriptions. I felt that it was too boring, so I cooked according to your book. My favorite food is your American ginseng double snow lean meat soup. It tastes especially good with some candied dates. Elder Yun smiled and didn't forget to give Elder Fong and Elder Jing a smug look. This disciple of mine is mine. Elder Fong was unperturbed. He stroked his beard and looked like an otherworldly expert. Elder Jing snorted in disdain. You've published a few books. Other than the guide to medicinal cuisine, that's a bestseller. The other books are all slow selling. Which publisher doesn't cry when they see you? Elder Yun. In addition to diet therapy, he also studied other aspects of traditional Chinese medicine. The books he wrote were profound and complicated, and he liked to quote ancient Chinese. Not only did he require the reader to have outstanding medical skills, but he also had to keep up with the literacy level. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to understand what he wrote. As a result, most of his books didn't sell well. Elder Yun faintly smiled. I heard that you were poisoned when you tried medicinal herbs a few days ago. I'm afraid you're the current Shinong, Li Shizhen of Nansheng. Elder Jing. He flew into a rage out of humiliation. That's a foreign herb. I've never seen it before, so I was careless and fell for it. The live stream became a sea of joy. I found out. These people are all titans of the Chinese medicine industry, but they're like primary school students when they get along with each other. Ha ha ha, master. Teach me how to insult people. Oh no, teach me medicine. It's okay to expose each other's shortcomings. How mean. But I don't mind listening to more dog talk. When everyone entered the living room, they naturally exchanged a few pleasantries. Xianxia's eyes lit up when she heard their true identities, but then slowly dimmed. How could such a big shot make a move so easily? Chapter 223. She'd been looking for famous doctors all these years and had seen the fickleness of the world. She had met doctors who were benevolent, doctors who were only after money, and even scammers who weren't good at medicine. The more skilled a master was, the more difficult it was for ordinary people to make an appointment with him. She sighed and decided to let nature take its course. It would be great if she could get a few masters to treat her. If they couldn't, then they didn't know her anything. Xianxia took out a tea set that her third brother had given her. Xianxia had good taste, so the tea set he had chosen was simple and beautiful. It was pleasing to the eye just by looking at it. She warmed the cup, washed the tea, and made the tea. The young girl's actions were natural and elegant. Elder Fong and the others tasted the tea and looked at Xianxia with even more affection. It was as if they were looking at their own disciple. Elder Jing couldn't wait to ask, "Young girl, who did you learn your medical skills from?" Xianxia answered honestly, "My grandfather." Xianxia? Elder Jing frowned. "He's quite good at medicine. He had Xianxia as his WeChat friend, but that old man always liked to show off how cute his little granddaughter was. It was very annoying, so he had blocked Xianxia a few years ago. Now that he thought about it, he regretted it so much. He had missed such a good seedling." Elder Yin took a sip of tea and said, "It's rare to hear you praise someone. I thought you were too short of vocabulary and had never learned any commendatory words." Elder Jing retorted, "Commendatory words are used to praise people." Elder Yin was speechless. Seeing that the two old friends were about to quarrel again, Elder Fong rubbed his forehead and said, "All right, don't forget about business." The two old men instantly shut their mouths and stared at Xianxia with burning eyes. The young girl instinctively shrank behind her brother. Xianxia lowered his eyes and drank the tea. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. However, Shi Sui seemed to have seen through something. He pushed his glasses up his nose bridge and asked with a smile, "How are you going to popularize medical knowledge?" "Our program team will cooperate fully." Elder Fong said faintly, "If we were to talk purely about theory, it would be too boring. I'm sure the young people in front of the screen wouldn't like to hear us talk about yin and yang, the 5 elements, evil energy, and cold energy. Therefore, we're going to use practical methods to convey it. Is there anyone present who is unwell? For example, excessive internal heat, cold, headaches, and so on." At first, no one dared to say anything out of fear of their identities. For a moment, the atmosphere was somewhat cold. Li Jinyu was the first to raise his hand. I've been suffering from an oral ulcer recently. Can it be treated?" Elder Yin suggested that they eat more pears, loquats, tomatoes, and other fruits and vegetables. Elder Jing suggested that they could use Gentian Laogan decoction or Buplurum decoction. Elder Fong, on the other hand, gave a detailed explanation from the cause of the disease to the symptoms to how to treat the symptoms. His explanation was easy to understand and fascinating. With Li Jinyu taking the lead, the other staff members also raised their hands. Xianxia was a little hesitant. What if she caused the masters to be flamed by the netizens? That was not what she wanted to see. Sheng Guang held her hand. "Madam, why don't we show the prescriptions to the masters?" Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief. "That's good too. If the masters approved of Xiangxia's prescription, she could just follow the prescription." Thinking of this, Xianxia handed over a prescription. Because it was folded and the paper was similar, she didn't realize that she was handing over the prescription that the doctor had given her. Chapter 224. Old Master Fong took the prescription from her. The three of them first took Xianxia's pulse, after which Old Master Fong opened the prescription and took a few glances at it. His brows furrowed. It was obvious that this prescription wasn't written by a young lady. He passed the prescription to Old Master Yin. Xianxia asked uneasily, "Old Master Fong, is it because of my body?" After reading it, Old Master Yin had a similar reaction and passed it to Old Master Jing, who was the most proficient in pharmacology. The more Old Master Jing looked at it, the angrier he got. He had a bad temper to begin with and slammed the table, causing the tea to splash all over the table. "Nonsense! What kind of lousy prescription is this? It looks like a pile of expensive supplements, but it's actually just a pile. It's fine if it's just a temporary solution, but this prescription is also extremely harmful to the body. If you take it for a long time, not only will it be impossible for you to get pregnant, even your internal organs and meridians will be affected." Quack. No, this kind of person doesn't deserve to be a doctor. Xianxia's face turned pale. "So, It's still impossible for me to get pregnant. The netizens in the live stream were furious. Wasn't this prescription written by Vase Fairy? I want to throw a gas can at her. She's treating human life like grass. She's deliberately trying to kill someone. Oh my God, she's quite polite when she calls her teacher Ian, but I didn't expect her to be so hypocritical. It's fine if you don't know how to treat it, but why do you have to harm others? Oh, big shots. Look at the doctor's brother's hand. Has his condition worsened? I'm breaking out in cold sweat. F***CK, that's right. She even performed acupuncture on Dr. Xiang. That burning sensation won't hurt his nerves even more, right? Normal acupuncture won't cause burning. The comments were filled with anger, and many netizens even began to curse Xianxi's ancestors. At the critical moment, Shi Sui narrowed her eyes and said in a calm voice, Mama Ian, that prescription wasn't written by Sister E, right? As soon as she said that, someone angrily retorted in the comments, why does Shi Sui always defend Vase Fairy? How dare he lie like that? She clearly wrote the prescription just now. Does she think that the tens of millions of viewers in the live stream are blind? Xianxia was stunned for a moment. She quickly rummaged through her pockets and realized that there was a prescription inside. Her mind was blown, and it took her a few seconds to calm herself down. She opened it and was filled with apologies. I'm sorry, this is the prescription that little Xianxia gave me. I'll have to trouble you guys. Oh, the little miracle-working doctor opened it? Elder Jing was the first to snatch it over and looked at it carefully. The more he looked, the brighter his eyes became. It could be called a good prescription. However, if he were to perfect the formula, it would be even more perfect. Elder Yun couldn't wait any longer. Let me see. Elder Jing turned around childishly. No, mine. This was his future disciple, and he should be the one giving pointers. Elder Yun complained to Elder Fong, President, look at him. How can he be so domineering? Elder Fong was also a little speechless. He coughed lightly, indicating that Elder Jing should not go overboard. Only then did Elder Jing reluctantly move the prescription towards Elder Yun. Then, let's look at it together. Elder Yun put on his reading glasses. The two old men, who were more than 100 years old, were full of praise as they looked at it. They were like the bootlickers in music games. This handwriting is as sweet as a tree and as gentle as a breeze. The combination of these herbs is novel and unique. This dosage is also very mild. It's best to use it to nourish the body. Thousands of words turned into a sentence that the two of them slapped their thighs in unison. Wonderful. Chapter 225. That was followed by the exclamation of wonderful. The netizens in a live stream were dumbfounded. The Vase Fairy wasn't the one who wrote the first prescription that was criticized. The Vase Fairy was the one who wrote the second prescription that was praised so highly. Not only the netizens, but the executives of Muyao TV were also about to vomit blood. The number of viewers in a live stream of Two Under One Roof had reached 10 million. The executives also received news that many national brands had begun to contact Two Under One Roof. At first, no one was interested, but now they were scrambling for sponsorship. It was said that the highest bid had already reached 50 million yuan in sponsorship fees. And a variety show could have multiple brand sponsorships at the same time. On the other hand, eating well for all three meals, which they spent hundreds of millions to invite Zhuo Yi and Pop Queen Zhang Yan, still had a lukewarm 4 to 5 million viewers. At the beginning, the idea of Two Under One Roof was proposed by Li Jianyu, and Li Jianyu was forced to leave. The station head's face was dark and cold as ice as he stared at a certain figure at the conference table. That person was the executive who defended Chen Mian and forced Li Jianyu to leave. Because of his actions, the station was now losing at least a few 100 million yuan. If Li Jianyu had stayed, wouldn't the success of Two Under One Roof now belong to Muyao TV? The station head flew into a rage and told the executive to get lost on the spot. He slammed the folder in his hand and questioned, "You found Zhuo Yi and Zhang Yan for 100 million yuan? Why can't you find an artist like Xianxia? Isn't it just cooking, musical instruments, and Chinese medicine?" The deputy director sneered. "Then why don't you tell me how to find one?" These things aren't something that can be learned in a day or two. Culinary skills are fine, but at the same time, musical instruments are rare. If you include Chinese medicine, aren't you just making things difficult for me? Even if we do find her, do you think that person will have the same conditions as the Xianxia family's manor? Can there be a high-tech farm that creates jobs for farmers like Little Rabbit Farm? Okay, let's say there is. But who can invite a famous director, an esports god, a designer who won the Muse Award, a popular boy band, a national treasure doctor, and a divine doctor at the same time? If you can do it, why don't you do it? A series of questions caused the scene to be deathly silent like cicadas in winter. God, is this woman crazy? The station manager was also stunned. He never thought that the woman who had worked for him for so many years would dare to talk back to him in public. You're just a woman. Giving you the position of deputy director is already enough of a favor for you. Yet you still don't know what's good for you. The station manager was furious, but considering her ability to work, he couldn't just fire her directly. He could only threaten her. You're suspended without pay immediately and reflect on your mistakes. You're not allowed to come to work without my notice. The deputy director, Wan Qing, sneered. She casually tore off the identity plate that she had treasured for many years and threw it on the table in a valiant manner. I miss your mother. I quit. At this moment, in the manor's living room, seeing that his two old friends couldn't stop praising her, Elder Fong had no choice but to say, Madamine, you don't have to worry. If you take good care of yourself according to this prescription, there's a possibility of you having a child. Forget it. I'll be more conservative with my words. He paused for a moment and felt a sense of pride. There's a 99% chance that you'll have a child. Xianxia was pleasantly surprised. She sobbed and covered her face with her hands, crying tears of joy. Chapter 226. Shengguang was also a little moved. He raised his hand and hugged her. Darling, that's great. You can finally fulfill your wish. Looking at the loving couple, everyone felt happy for them from the bottom of their hearts. In the live stream, I'm not listening. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. What the F asterisk CK? Vase Fairy's medical skills are so brilliant. She should be really amazing. After all, these people are all giants in the Chinese medicine industry. I'm just curious how the program team managed to invite them. Li Jinyu happened to catch a glimpse of that comment and thought to himself, I really didn't invite them. The big shots are the ones who came willingly. They don't even need to pay for their appearance. It turns out that pies can come one after another. Dr. Xiang, who doesn't need money, the big shots of Chinese medicine who don't need money, and Hades, who is paying for it. He was overjoyed, and he was grinning from ear to ear. Elder Fong and the other two slightly modified Xiangyi's prescription. Xiangyi also discussed with them the follow-up diet and recuperation plans. She had the strength to begin with, and she was also humble. One was willing to learn, and the other three were willing to teach. In the blink of an eye, they had been discussing for more than half an hour. Xiangyi benefited a lot, and the three masters also thought that the ideas she came up with were good. They were full of praise for her. By the way, masters, since you're all here, why don't you take a look at Dr. Xiang's hand? Li Jinyu suggested. He thought that with these masters around, they might be able to help Dr. Xiang's hand heal faster. The three of them naturally had no objections. Xiangli was also very cooperative. They finished taking his pulse. Elder Jing was the first to speak. If I were to treat him, I would use the method of fighting poison with poison to stimulate him. Although I can guarantee that he will regain some feeling in his hand, I'm afraid there will be other sequelae. Elder Yin said, I'm the opposite of him. The method I can think of is too gentle, but it will take too long. You're in the scientific research field, and time is too precious. I'm afraid you can't afford to delay. Elder Fong pondered for a long time before stroking his beard. This world still belongs to the young after all. This acupuncture technique is something that old people like us can't think of. Even if we can think of it, we wouldn't dare to use it carelessly. I've heard of little Xiang's hand injury before. Previously, the descendants of the 9 needles of the divine in our country had also thought of using acupuncture to treat him. However, he was already old and was afraid that his hand would be unstable. The younger generation wouldn't be able to take over, so they didn't dare to do it and delayed it for a long time. Elder Fong spoke at a leisurely pace, like a kind grandpa telling a story. Everyone listened attentively. In the end, he suddenly changed the topic. Now that I think about it, it's actually a good thing, because my little disciple's acupuncture technique is even better. It was even more ingenious. Moreover, it would solve the root cause. It's even more effective. Everyone. What the hell? Elder Fong, did you receive money to advertise? Elder Yun and Elder Jing. I thought you were the most honorable, but I didn't expect you to be the most shameless. Elder Yun said angrily. When did little Xianxia become your disciple? He's obviously my disciple. Elder Jing was even more direct as he scolded. You two old fogies, stop flattering yourselves. This is the disciple I've taken a liking to. Let me tell you, don't even think about snatching her from me. The three of them quarreled more and more fiercely. The two old grandpas who were almost 200 years old were about to fight. Xianxia, she was quite confused. The netizens in the live stream were not only dumbfounded, but they were also stunned. Someone guessed weakly. Are these three masters here to take in Xianxia as their disciple? Chapter 227. Someone was dumbfounded. I thought that men would only fight over Xianxia. I never expected that one day they would fight to take her in as their disciple. Someone even commented on the front line. F***CK. The Wuxia Traditional Chinese Medicine Association posted on Weibo that there were more than a dozen traditional Chinese medicine masters who were late because they couldn't get tickets for the high-speed rail. These masters are all here to take Xianxia in as their disciple. One of the masters even publicly said that Elder Fong and the other two got a huge advantage because they were from Nanxing. The netizens were speechless. They never expected such a reversal. The vase fairy whom they looked down on was actually the target of all the traditional Chinese medicine masters. She wasn't the one begging to be their disciple, but the masters were begging to take her in as their disciple. Amazing. The netizens who had followed the trend to criticize Xianxia seemed to have been enlightened and suddenly sobered up. Thinking about it carefully, did Xianxia really do something unforgivable? No. She played the electric guitar for the brothers of C7 at the annual gala of Tomato Entertainment. At Mingxi Boys High School, she had cooked a heartwarming meal for the children who had suffered so much. She had even uprooted the prison that was the source of all evil. She performed acupuncture on Xiang Li and wrote a prescription for Xianxia. She was so tired that the sweat on her forehead could soak the tissue paper. Looking back at the negative comments that they had posted, these people suddenly felt a little upset. She seemed... Not only did she not do anything outrageous, she was actually a nice girl. However, there are also people who couldn't forgive her, especially the blogger New Baldy PhD, who posted on Weibo. Xianxia V, have you apologized to Dr. Xiang today? No. Smiley face. He had a lot of fans to begin with and was very influential. As soon as he posted on Weibo, many people were enraged and flocked to the live stream. Wow, she's cleared her name just like that. Isn't it her duty to treat Dr. Xiang? After all, if it weren't for her, Dr. Xiang wouldn't have gotten injured. Didn't you hear that the masters know her grandfather? She's a second-generation doctor. Who knows if the masters are here to support her on account of her grandfather? Once these words were spoken, they didn't get the same response as they did in the beginning. On the contrary, Xiangxi's fans and Untimely Couple's fans stepped forward. How do you know she didn't apologize? Isn't it a traditional virtue, since ancient times, to admit one's mistakes and correct them? We're willing to admit Xiangxi's mistakes, but why don't you dare to admit Xiangxi's excellence? No one is perfect. Everyone here, ask yourselves, who hasn't made mistakes? Why do you hold Sister E to the standard of a saint, but hold yourself to the standard of a rotten person? Just as the two sides were arguing, Shui suddenly opened her mouth. Seniors, may I trouble you to take Sister Yi's pulse? The three grandpas who had already started rolling up their sleeves looked at Xianxia in unison. Little disciple, were you feeling unwell? Disciple, why didn't you tell me earlier that you were feeling unwell? My beloved disciple, stretch out your hand. Don't panic. With me here, you'll be cured. Xianxia looked at Shui in bewilderment. not understanding why he was doing that. Old Master Fong and Old Master Yun each grabbed one of Xianxi's hands. Old Master Jing, who was a step slower, beat his chest and stomped his feet, wishing he could release a poisonous centipede or scorpion to bite the two old men. At this moment, Shi Sui said leisurely, "Sister, he has lost her memory in the past year and has only recovered recently. I'm worried if there will be any sequelae." As soon as she said that, there was an uproar in the live stream. Vase Fairy has amnesia? Chapter 228. Oh my god. Art indeed comes from reality. What the F***CK? That was why it made sense. She was stupid last year because she lost her memory. Now that she has regained her memory, she's normal again. I've always liked Sister Yi's looks. I've watched all the television dramas and variety shows that she has participated in. Actually, I've guessed that she has dual personality disorder. Their personalities are really worlds apart. There is also a group of people who refuse to believe it. You can even come up with an excuse like memory loss. Shi Sui, you're awesome. As expected of a man who has won the Best Actor and Best Actor awards. Look at how natural his acting is. Little fresh meats come out and take a beating. Hey, what a coincidence. Not only did she lose her memory, she even selectively lost her memory. She can even recover after losing her memory. I'm impressed. Next time, she might as well say that her soul was possessed. Elder Fong and Elder Yun were extremely cautious and serious when taking her pulse. After a long time, Elder Fong said, "Judging from your pulse, your body is indeed still a little weak. You shouldn't work too hard in your daily life." Before he could finish, Elder Yun interjected, "My dear disciple, you need to nourish your body well. Why don't you come back to the medical center with me and eat supplements for a few years? I guarantee that you'll recover from all your illnesses." Everyone was speechless. Supplements aren't supposed to be taken on a daily basis. Since when are they supposed to be taken on a yearly basis? Also, isn't it too natural for you to call me your beloved disciple? Elder Jing was displeased. Who are you looking down on? Our family may lack everything, but we don't lack good food for our little girls. My dear disciple, come with me. You'll have plenty of ginseng, bird's nest, and snow lotus. Elder Fong stroked his beard, looking otherworldly and otherworldly. However, he was extremely shameless. Disciple, since Grandpa Jing and Grandpa Yun are so enthusiastic, go to their house for 3 meals a day. After that, come back to me to learn medicine. If you can pack some 100-year-old ginseng or something for me after eating, that would be even better. Elder Jing was speechless. Elder Yun was speechless. Damn it, why don't we order takeout for you? Xianxia was speechless. If she didn't know how to take her own pulse, she would have thought that she was weak and on the verge of death. His body had been tormented. At most, he would be a little malnourished. After adjusting his daily routine and supplementing his diet, he would be able to recover in a month. Netizens, is it okay to use supplements to abduct Sister E online? I love it when these old men argue with each other. They're probably the worst of friends. I suddenly realize that the choice is in Xianxi's hands. There are so many Chinese medicine masters for her to choose from like cabbages. I'm so jealous. Hee. A weak body doesn't prove that you've lost your memory. No matter how amazing Chinese medicine is, it can't reverse time and reverse memory loss. At this moment, Xianli pulled out a black-covered notebook from his backpack. The netizens in the live stream were very curious. Is the notebook of a big shot like the doctor's brother full of scientific research secrets? The next second, he opened his notebook and took out a few pieces of folded A4 paper from it. He asked politely, "Sir, I'm sorry. This is Tutu's medical record. Can it be used as a reference?" Netizens, why would a scientific researcher, who is a national treasure, carry the medical records of a female artist in the entertainment industry with him? Following his movements, an ID photo fell out of the notebook. The camera happened to capture the photo. A young girl with 2 ponytails and no makeup was smiling sweetly at the camera. Damn it, why does this woman look exactly like Xianxia? Chapter 229. Apart from Shi Sui, no one else at the scene noticed this little episode. Xianxia calmly picked up the ID photo, and put it back into his notebook as if nothing had happened. The netizens watching the live stream were extremely excited. Does Xiangli fancy Xiangyi? I think Xiangli doesn't look at sister either way a man looks at a woman. Instead, it's the way a brother looks at his sister. Speaking of that, I, a fan of the untimely couple, can't help but say that Shi Sui is staring at his wife like a maniac today. The three masters studied Xiangyi's medical record. Amnesia is a disease caused by trauma to the brain. One's consciousness, memory, identity, or normal integration with the environment are all damaged. Old Mr. Fong frowned and said, "At present, there are no clear treatment measures for amnesia, and acupuncture therapy is not very mature either." Old Mr. Fong continued, "However, since she can recover, it means that her condition is improving. She just has to pay more attention in the future and slowly recuperate." With the medical record as evidence and old Mr. Fong's statement, the public opinion in the live stream was completely reversed. So it's because of amnesia. It's been so hard on Xiangyi. She's taking the blame for herself. No wonder her personality is so different. When she lost her memory previously, she was really annoying. Now that she has regained her memory, she's quite adorable. Many netizens had accepted the fact that Xiangyi had lost her memory for a year. However, there were also some who couldn't accept it. They've really put in a lot of effort to clear Vase Fairy's name. Even if she has amnesia, she's still the same person. It means that she's just pretending to be gentle on the surface. She's subconsciously AB asterisk TCH. TSK. After a murderer kills someone, can he also say that he killed someone because he lost his memory and shouldn't be responsible for it now that he's awake? In the manner, Xiangli naturally put his arm around Xiangyi's shoulder and thanked old Mr. Fong and the others. "Thank you so much, seniors." Xiangyi twisted her neck stiffly and looked at him in disbelief. Xiangli suddenly flicked her forehead and said, "I'm sorry. It's my fault." "Huh? Why is Xiangli apologizing to me? It's my uselessness that caused our tutu to be misunderstood. If I was a little stronger, I wouldn't have hurt my hand." Xiangyi panicked. No, it's because she suddenly froze, not knowing how to explain. Xiangli tried to smooth things over. "When you lost your memory, your mind was like that of a toddler. If I didn't save you, the consequences would have been unimaginable. You were scared out of your wits at that time. I didn't take those words to heart. I've never regretted saving you. Everything was a rational choice. I hope you won't blame yourself for it. It's just a hand. It's not as important as your life." He said it casually, as if the suffering he had suffered in the past year was nothing at all. Xiangyi's eyes reddened. Second brother, was he going to take all the responsibility on himself? The netizens in the live stream were also stunned. No way, right? Is Dr. Gidge so lovey-dovey? The next second, don't cry. His tone was helpless and gentle as he gently rubbed his finger against the tears at the corners of her eyes. Coaxing you is much harder than solving problems. Others may think that you're a bad person, but in my eyes, our tutu is the best sister in the world. Chapter 230. After a few seconds of silence in the comment section, a dizzying barrage of pop-up comments flooded in. Brother? Biological brother? This is going to be the hottest topic of the year. I told you they're biological siblings. Exactly, Xiang Li and Xiangyi sound like they're family. Stop trying to be wise after the fact. You guys are the ones who scolded them the most just now. How pretentious. Were you born in a plastic bag? All the clamor seemed to have been paused. Xiangyi raised her little face and stared at her second brother in front of her in a daze. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she tried her best to hold them back. However, the moment he coaxed her, tears welled up in her eyes. She was actually really not that strong. In front of outsiders, she could remain calm no matter how aggrieved she was. However, in front of her brother, she couldn't keep her cool at all. As soon as his sister started crying, Xiangli immediately panicked. He was indeed not good at coaxing girls. All he knew was to pat her back clumsily, again and again, patiently and gently. Shi Sui remained silent and turned to the side to block the camera for her. However, she didn't disturb her and Xiangli. "Do you want some candy?" Xiangli asked as he took out a milk candy from his trouser pocket. Shi Sui was speechless. Looking at the familiar brand of milk candy, his eyebrows twitched. Is giving out candy a coaxing technique that's been passed down in the Xiang family for generations? Xianxia sobbed and said, I just want to cry. As soon as she spoke, the hearts of the fans in the live stream melted. I declare that from now on, I'm a mommy fan. Damn, Sister E is so meek in front of her brother. I really want to rub her in. I understand, Xianxia. I'm in the advertising industry, and I can smile even when I'm scolded by clients and leaders every day. However, whenever my mother calls me and asks if I've eaten, I cry. On the other hand, the blogger named New Baldy PhD immediately deleted several long Weibo posts that berated Xianxia. In front of the screen, he felt extremely guilty. He was not a fan of Dr. X at all. He had deliberately pretended to be a fan of Dr. X and was just trying to attract more traffic. After those few Weibo posts, his Weibo had gained hundreds of thousands of followers. It was even more than the number of fans he had accumulated over the years of running Weibo. In this era, where traffic could be converted into cash, this meant that his Weibo could receive more promotions and earn more money. He originally thought that he was quite smart, and the feeling of standing on a moral high ground to judge others was really too good. Who would have thought that Xianxia was Dr. X's biological sister? In this way, his indignant denunciation had all become a joke. But Dr. X and Xianxia were both so busy, so no one would argue with him, right? Thinking up to this point, Baldy decided to get lucky and registered a Smurf account. Since the number of views on the anti-celebrities Weibo was so high, why would he still want to be a campus treehole blogger? 10 minutes later, the wind at dusk was chilly, and everyone was cooling off in the pavilion of the manor. Xianxia had already gotten a grip on her emotions. After calming down, she felt a little embarrassed. She actually cried in front of so many people. A piece of watermelon was suddenly stuffed into her hand. She looked up and made eye contact with Sui's deep and narrow peach blossom-shaped eyes. He smiled and said, "Have a piece of watermelon to hydrate yourself." Feeling a little embarrassed, Xianxia said, "Thank you." She held the watermelon and nibbled on it. Little did she know how excited the fans of the couple were. Shui cut the sweetest part of the watermelon and gave it to Sister E. Rounding it up, this was the wedding candy. Open your mouths and eat the candy. Chapter 231. Mommy, I'm so jealous. Sister E looks like a little bunny when she's eating the melon obediently. Just now, Shui blocked the camera for Tutu. Previously, he also blocked the camera for Tutu when she was sad. This man is really considerate. Whoa. What the hell is a big cotton-padded jacket? Are you trying to make me laugh to death so that you can inherit my emoji package? At this moment, the top cultists collectively went out to fight, refusing to let go of any candy. Although there were still some haters, they were soon drowned out. Elder Fong and the other two took a tour of the manor and were about to leave, but they smelled the aroma of food wafting from the kitchen. Elder Yun was proficient in the art of food therapy. After smelling a few Chinese herbs, he clicked his tongue and said, "Since my beloved disciple is making medicinal cuisine, I'll force myself to stay for dinner." The netizens were dumbfounded. "Sorry, Grandpa, you don't look like you're forcing yourself to stay. You look like you're very willing." Elder Jing sneered. "She's obviously my obedient disciple." Seeing that the two of them were about to argue again, Elder Fong suddenly said, "Why don't we accept her as our disciple together? Wouldn't that be perfect?" Elder Yin thought for a few seconds and said, "I'll think about it." Although Elder Jing didn't agree, he didn't argue, which was rare. However, the netizens in the live stream didn't think much of it. They thought that Elder Yun and Elder Jing were just giving Elder Fong face and didn't turn them down directly. As the dishes that Xianxia had prepared were served one after another, the number of viewers in the live stream of Two Under One Roof also increased. The foodies had arrived. Countless people had prepared their meals or ordered takeout, accompanied by drinks and snacks. They were all staring at the screen and swallowing their saliva. Braised pork with thick oil and red sauce, tender and glossy steamed pork ribs with garlic, light and delicious fish head tofu soup. There were vegetarian dishes, dry-fried mushrooms, cold shredded bamboo shoots, and so on, which filled the entire table. There were also two medicinal cuisines, one of which was the American ginseng lean meat soup from Elder Yun's Medicinal Cuisine Guidebook, while the other was Xianxia's original casserole soup. Elder Fong and Elder Jing picked up their chopsticks reservedly, but when they tasted the first dish, they paused in unison. My obedient disciples' cooking skills. Elder Yun impatiently tasted the two medicinal cuisines. The American ginseng double snow lean meat soup was improved based on his medicinal cuisine recipe. It tasted better. As for the casserole soup, through the combination of food and fine cooking, it looked, smelled, and tasted perfect. He had truly achieved the point where medicine borrowed the taste of food, and food aided the medicine's medicinal properties. Bitter medicine had turned into delicious medicine. After drinking 2 bowls of soup, Elder Yun suddenly put down his bowl with a solemn expression. Xiangni said gently, "Grandpa Yun, is the food not to your liking? Why are you calling me Grandpa Yun?" Elder Yun pretended to be angry. "Call me Master." Elder Jing was anxious. "You're really annoying." However, Elder Yun said earnestly, "Come, my beloved disciple, this is your second master, Elder Jing." Elder Yun turned his head and looked at Elder Fong. Elder Fong suddenly had a bad premonition. As expected, Elder Yun made a gesture. "That's your third master. In a live stream. Is old Yun crazy? How can he accept a disciple like this?" "That's right. Other people have a master with a few disciples. How can it be a few masters with a disciple?" Damn, Elder Yun is probably tricking others. Elder Jing and Elder Fong are such proud people, especially Elder Jing, who has a bad temper. He'll definitely refuse. In the next second, Elder Jing, who had never said anything good in his life, held back for a long time before saying, "Old man, you're really likable." The netizens?